I'm pretending to cultivate immortality in kindergarten. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251, Plans are not as good as changes. When the roll of stockings fell to the ground, the little girl hadn't noticed it yet. It was Lin Zhengren who found it. He saw the thing and picked it up. What is this? He Qing turned around when she heard the voice. After seeing what Lin Zhengren was holding, she was stunned for a while before she frantically touched her pockets. After confirming that one was missing, she wanted to take it. How come my stockings are on your hand? But Lin Zhengren didn't let go, and she couldn't get it with her little strength. When she stretched out her hand, she didn't take the stockings back, but pulled off the rubber band that tied the stockings. The pantyhose fell out of Lin Zhengren's hand. He Qing was so embarrassed that her cheeks were smoking. She squatted on the ground with her face covered and didn't face anyone. Lin Zhengren also looked at the roll of white stockings and asked with a smile, "Stockings? Why do you carry such a thing with you? I haven't seen you wear it." She was so ashamed that she really wanted to say that this thing was not hers, but someone else's. But she couldn't lie to Lin Zhengren. She had said before that she couldn't lie to him no matter what she did. He could only try to make sense. I bought it for fun. I saw it when I was shopping online. I thought I'd buy it to try it out, but I never had time to wear it. Lin Zhengren looked at the white stockings in his hand and touched the material. Thinking that He Qing should match white stockings, Lin Zhengren had really thought about it before, because she was sweet and sticky and should be very suitable for the white style. "Why don't you have time to wear it?" Little He Qing looked up at him slightly, not knowing what to say, because we were not alone that night a week ago. After saying that, he continued to cover his face. Lin Zhengren remembered the night when she came to Zithar City town alone from the south, and the four of them slept in one bed. It was true that he said on the phone at the beginning that he would accompany her alone, but the plan was not as good as the change. Lin Zhengren squatted on the ground with the stockings in his hand, and little He Qing became even more shy. Lin Zhengren asked, "So if Lily and Wenwen weren't there that night, you were going to wear this for me?" Little He Qing's face turned as red as a tomato, and she uttered a sparrow sound. She explained, "Don't laugh at me. I know it might not be appropriate for me to wear this kind of thing, but everyone says that boys like stockings, so I thought you might like it too. Of course, I'm not saying you're a pervert, I just thought you might like it." Lin Zhengren rolled up the stockings again and handed them to her. "Here." Little He Qing looked at him furtively when she heard this, and quickly took the stockings back from her hand and hid them in her arms. Lin Zhengren sat on the steps. "I really like it. Wear it for me when you have time in the next 2 days, huh?" He Qing looked at him blankly with a red face, holding the stockings tightly in her hands, and carefully moved small steps to sit beside him, and asked tentatively, "Do you really like this kind of thing?" Lin Zhengren said as a matter of course, "Boys like it." He Qing was speechless. "Then I will wear it for you to see some other day." Lin Zhengren smiled, and He Qing was shy. The two sat under the steps of the vending machine and looked at the rain outside the French window. It was quiet for a while. He Qing secretly said to the other party, "My mother said that if you have the opportunity, you can go to the south to play. She welcomes you to visit." Lin Zhengren thought, "I haven't visited my aunt in these years. I will go back with you during the holidays when I go to college." "Well, okay." He looked at the rain quietly for a while. He Qing felt a little strange and asked out of the blue, "Lin Zhengren, you seem strange today." "Huh? What's strange about it?" "Just a little strange. If it were normal times, you would definitely bully me if I secretly hid the stockings and you found out. For example, if you like stockings, you would say," she imitated Lin Zhengren's usual tone and expression, "I do like stockings. Since you brought them, why don't you find a place to wear them for me? Anyway, I have nothing to do now." She looked at Lin Zhengren in confusion. "But today you only said, 'Let me wear them for you some other day,' and that's it? It's a bit unlike you." Lin Zhengren saw that she imitated it quite well. He thought that if it were normal times, he would probably say that, but he had just done those things with Wenwen. "I'm afraid that if you wear it now, I won't be able to help myself." Her face flushed. "What do you mean by can't help myself?" "It means literally." The two of them stared at each other, and little He Qing finally realized that although she was a little clumsy in doing things, she knew every move and smile of Lin Zhengren very well. This was the boy she had liked since she was a child. She found that Lin Sehengren's eyes seemed to be more frightening than usual. Or excited? Why? Was it because she secretly hid the stockings? He Qing didn't know what she was thinking at the moment. Maybe she just said it casually, maybe she just wanted to try it, but she did say it. The voice was sweet and sticky. How about I go and get a room with you? After a short silence, Lin Sehengren inexplicably asked, Are you sure? Little He Qing's lips trembled, and she nodded slowly. Yeah, sure. Then someone got up and pulled little He Qing to get a room. Little He Qing was scared to death. He pulled her up and said in a panic, Lin Sehengren. The two of them came to the front desk. He Qing blushed and held a stocking tightly in her other hand. Lin Sehengren, are there any vacant double rooms? The front desk thought that they were just sitting on the sofa chatting. Why did they suddenly want to book a room again? 2 rooms are available. Lin Sehengren, open one. The front desk responded. Did you bring your ID card? Lin Sehengren took out his ID card from his pocket and handed it to the other party. The front desk and Lin Sehengren looked at He Qing together. He Qing stuttered, I didn't bring it, but I can remember it. That's fine, the front desk said. Tell me your ID number and I'll enter it. He Qing glanced at Lin Sehengren and slowly swallowed her saliva. Although it was sudden, she had already prepared for something. My ID number is. The room was booked. Lin Sehengren took He Qing to a double room on the first floor, opened the door and went in. The curtains were drawn in the room, and with the rain outside, it seemed very quiet. No one turned on the lights. Little He Qing was pulled to the bed and laid flat on it. Lin Sehengren also supported the bed with both hands and looked at her from above. He Qing closed her eyes in fear, and her hands were clenched tightly with nervousness. Lin Sehengren saw that she was so scared that she was shaking a little, and there were tears in the corners of her eyes. He asked softly, Are you scared? Little He Qing slowly opened her eyes and carefully stared at Lin Sehengren in front of her. After examining the other's expression in the dim room, he whispered, a little scared. Lin Sehengren saw her tearful look. As a little girl who had always followed him from childhood to adulthood, Lin Sehengren actually felt sorry for He Qing. His love for her was like the love for the little girl next door, but not for Lily. Lily was a true childhood sweetheart for Lin Sehengren. Do you want to continue? Let me ask you one more question. He didn't even finish his words. Little He Qing suddenly cried and said, Continue. Lin Sehengren's eyes trembled slightly. He gradually approached. He Qing also raised her head gently, and the two slowly kissed each other. Chapter 252 Happiness. Although He Qing has read a lot of novels that are not suitable for children since she met Han Wenwen, the number can even be said to be extremely large. But when encountering the kind of male-female plot, little He Qing often skips and reads, or just sneaks a few glances. So in fact, she only knows the general idea of many things, and has no idea how to do them specifically, and the books don't describe them in detail. For example, kissing. At this moment, little He Qing's little hands changed from clenching tightly to grabbing a small piece of Lin Sehengren's clothes in fear and nervousness. Lying on the bed with her chin raised, her white swan neck is very beautiful. With her eyes closed, she slowly touched his lips. Lin Sehengren's lips and breath made her heart beat faster and she couldn't help herself. She knew that kissing was not just lip to lip. There were other things to do, so she tentatively bit Lin Sehengren's lips with her teeth. Lin Sehengren was a little confused, opened his eyes and stopped curiously. Little He Qing noticed that he didn't respond, and slowly opened her eyes with tears. Seeing the other party's curious eyes. What are you doing? He asked. Little He Qing's face was red, and she said timidly, Kiss, kiss. Lin Sehengren emphasized, I know it's a kiss. I mean, why are you biting my lips? How can I kiss you if you bite my lips? Little He Qing didn't understand, and hesitated. Is it impossible to kiss? But, isn't kissing like this? When I see the male and female protagonists kissing in novels, the girls will bite each other's lips. Lin Sehengren couldn't help laughing. Little He Qing was so embarrassed that she really wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Isn't it right? Lin Sehengren explained, even if it's biting lips, in novels, it should be biting only the lower lip, not biting the whole lip to death, right? Little He Qing's eyes were a little tearful. I don't know, I don't understand. She paused and said, Teach me. He sighed that this little girl is always the same as when she was a child. I'll teach you. He kissed her again, and little He Qing kissed Lin Sehengren again. While kissing Lin Sehengren, he told her what to do, and little He Qing obeyed obediently. Learning little by little. From the initial shyness, he gradually felt that kissing was really magical. He originally thought that kissing was just a simple kiss between two people, which should be the same as eating snacks, but the experience was completely different. As they kissed, He Qing even made a whimpering sound. The hand that was originally just pulling his clothes slowly changed to hugging his back. After kissing for a long time, Lin Hengren felt that she had become a little enlightened, and deliberately asked, "Do you know it now?" He Qing pursed her lips shyly. "I know it a little bit." Kissing is so comfortable. Lin Hengren looked at He Qing's other hand still holding the white stockings, and suggested, "Put it on for me to see." She nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. In the room, Lin Hengren sat on the bed. He Qing sat on the bed and took off her little white shoes first. After looking at him, she sorted out the pantyhose, rolled it into a pile, and then a white and tender little foot got into the stockings and slowly pulled the stockings up. Then put on the stockings on the other foot and pulled them up together. Put them on like pants. Okay. She tiptoed to the bedside in her stockings. The white stockings made the cute little He Qing look like a delicious piece of milk candy. The skirt and white stockings were a perfect match. Plus the ponytail that reached halfway up her waist and her plump breasts. They showed her innocent and flawless face and figure to the fullest. "Do you think it looks good, Lin Hengren?" After examining her, Lin Hengren couldn't help but smile. "It's more than beautiful. It suits you very well. Just wear it like this. Wear it all the time." She clenched her hands together and didn't refuse his suggestion. "Okay." Lin Hengren patted the bed. "Come up." Little He Qing obediently put on her stockings and went back to the bed and sat in front of Lin Hengren. The two looked at each other. She carefully held Lin Hengren's hand and asked him, "Lin Hengren, your first kiss is gone, right? I can vaguely feel that you kissed Lily." Lin Hengren didn't lie to little He Qing and nodded. "We kissed before." He Qing bit her lips and trembled a little. "What about the first time?" "It's still there," He Qing said. He Qing's tense lips suddenly relaxed, and she smiled lightly. "I'm so happy." Lin Hengren slowly put his arms around her waist, and He Qing also stood up from his sitting position. The two kissed again, interlocked their fingers, and slowly lay down on the bed. The rain outside the window was getting smaller and smaller. In the hotel room on the 5th floor, Zhang Zuli was still sitting on the bed happily filling out the registration information for the music candidate program on her mobile phone. Han Wenwen returned to the room from the bathroom and saw Lily's happy look, but she didn't see He Qing and Lin Hengren. "Lily, Lin Hengren and He Qing haven't come back yet." Zhang Zuli saw Han Wenwen and quickly answered. He Qing went to the lobby on the 1st floor to find Lin Hengren. "Han Wenwen, are you still feeling uncomfortable in your stomach?" Han Wenwen thought of what happened in the bathroom just now, and her face couldn't help but blush, but she didn't see it because Zhang Zuli was filling out the information when she asked the question. The little fox shook her head and returned to her bed. "I'm not uncomfortable anymore. I'm much better now." "That's good. What are you doing? You're so focused." "Oh," she said with a smile, "it's the registration form for the music candidate. After filling it out, I can go to the music candidate competition this year." Han Wenwen knew that this was the most famous music program in the country and was happy for Zhang Zuli. "Really? That's great." The two girls chatted for a while, and Han Wenwen lay back on the bed, looking at the rainy mountains and forests outside the window. The after effect made her want to close her eyes and rest for a while, and catch up on her sleep. In a big bedroom on the 1st floor, Lin Hengren in the quilt pressed He Qing's little hand on the bed. Fingers crossed. Little He Qing's blushing face looked at Lin Hengren, whom she had liked for so many years. Seeing his serious expression, feeling the taste of happiness. "Lin Hengren, I love you." "Me too," he answered gently and took off the rubber band on He Qing's hair. Little He Qing, with her hair loose, smiled and said, "You must keep bullying me in the future, forever." This afternoon, the two stayed in the room for a full 3 hours. Chapter 253 The Impossible. The sky gradually darkened, and Lin Hengren looked at the exhausted little He Qing in his arms. There was some sweat on her forehead, and occasionally a few strands of hair stuck to her face because of the sweat. Her little hands were huddled in front of her, with a strange beauty. Lin Hengren used his hands to brush away the hair on her face. He Qing woke up after noticing the movement and opened her eyes slightly. When she saw Lin Hengren, she smiled shyly. "Lin Hengren, what time is it?" "It's past 4 o'clock. It's been more than 3 hours. It's gone so fast." Lin Hengren asked her how she felt, and originally wanted to ask if she was tired. Because little He Qing's personality is very obedient, when she was a child, she would do whatever Lin Hengren asked her to do. Today is naturally the same. She is so obedient. Little He Qing answered in a sweet tone, except that I was a little nervous at the beginning. After she finished speaking, she felt shy herself, and her pure eyes stared at his neck, not looking into his eyes. It won't be like that later. I am completely yours. Although it was the same before, Lin Zhengren smiled and stroked her head. Little He Qing smiled happily and closed her eyes. Lin Zhengren, are you sleepy? Yeah, I don't have any strength left. I want to sleep. Why don't you sleep here for a while? I'll check into the room and go back after I wake up. Little He Qing shook her head. No, let's go back to sleep. Let's go to the room and have a good rest, because I know you can't stay here with me all the time. I'm scared to sleep here alone. Lin Zhengren smiled and said, okay, then get up and change clothes. Little He Qing nodded. Okay, I'll help you put on your socks. Lin Zhengren thought that she was talking hazily. How could she help him? I can do it myself. Lin Zhengren helped her up. Little He Qing sat on the bed and used the last bit of her strength to change her clothes. She was completely in standby mode and had no power at all. Lin Zhengren had no choice but to hold her up in a princess hug after changing her clothes. He Qing panicked for a moment. Lin Zhengren explained, just sleep, I'll carry you back. I guess you can't walk. She also knew her current situation. She blushed and leaned her head on Lin Zhengren's chest. She fell asleep completely and immersed in the tenderness. Lin Zhengren carried her to check out. Back to the hotel room on the 5th floor. Lin Zhengren used the room card to open the door of the hotel. The little fox in the room was still sleeping. After Zhang Zuli filled in the information, she received some names of contestants sent by Wang Lan. Zhang Zuli was asked to take a look first, so she was busy looking through the afternoon. Until she saw Lin Zhengren carrying He Qing back. Seeing that he was carrying her back, Zhang Zuli, who was still immersed in the joy of the upcoming competition, calmed down a lot. Zhengren, you are back, huh? What happened to He Qing? Lin Zhengren closed the door and explained, she just fell asleep on the 1st floor. Don't wake her up. Let He Qing rest for a while. Zhang Zuli responded and watched Lin Zhengren carefully put He Qing on her bed. Little He Qing was sleeping soundly, but there was an indescribable aftertaste smile on her face. Lin Zhengren even covered her with a blanket considerately, which made Zhang Zuli look dazed. She picked up her phone and looked at the time, and found that it was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. After receiving the message from Sister Lan, she filled out the registration form and checked the opponent's information. Unconsciously, more than 3 hours had passed. In other words, this whole afternoon, she actually let He Qing and Zhengren be alone for nearly 4 hours. However, seeing He Qing sleeping, she silently breathed a sigh of relief. She thought that it was okay if she fell asleep. It was probably at 1 o'clock in the afternoon that He Qing went downstairs to find Lin Zhengren, and then the two of them chatted casually on the sofa in the hall, and she fell asleep on Zhengren's shoulder. Just like when she and Zhengren were watching a movie. She has been sleeping until now, and Zhengren didn't want to wake her up, so he carried her back now. This must be the case. Zhang Zuli smiled and whispered, Zhengren, I have good news for you. Sister Zhang called me this afternoon and asked me to fill out the application form for the music candidate competition. She said that if everything goes well, I can participate in the competition this year. Lin Zhengren was happy to hear it. Really? There is finally news over there. According to the time, I have free time in college. I will accompany you then. Zhang Zuli nodded happily, and her twin ponytails bounced along. Okay, but just after nodding, Zhang Zuli suddenly found that Lin Zhengren glanced at He Qing again, and his eyes were extremely gentle, with a strong love. Although Lin Zhengren was usually very gentle to little He Qing, his eyes were not as obvious as this moment. This look even made Zhang Zuli's heart skip a beat. A huge jealousy suddenly hit her. Zhang Zuli's eyes were dazed and her lips were slightly open. Recalling Zhengren's eyes, I seem to have seen it once before, when I checked into a hotel with Zhengren last time. He looked at me like this after kissing. Could it be that he also kissed He Qing on the 1st floor just now? Or she stared at Lin Zhengren and didn't dare to think further. Only 3 words popped up in her mind. Impossible. First of all, it was daytime, and secondly, there was no place to do that kind of thing. What was she thinking about? How could that kind of thing be done so easily? But Lin Zhengren said at this time, it's not too late now. Let's go to dinner in an hour. Zhang Zuli came back to her senses and responded, well, okay, then I'll go lie down for a while. If you have something, come to me in the room. Anyway, I won't lock the door, because this room is a combination of a triple room and a single room. The single room is naturally for the head Lin Suhengren to sleep. He went to the single room, closed the door and lay on the bed to rest for a while. Jiang Zuli kept staring at Lin Suhengren entering the room, and then looked at He Qing, who had fallen asleep again. He Qing slept very quietly, and at this time Jiang Zuli grinned inexplicably. What am I thinking about? It's impossible to think about it, she seemed to comfort herself, whispering to herself, raising one hand and closing her eyes and smiling. Suhengren is still very serious, different from other boys. She blushed and said, I guess we kissed. Although I'm a little jealous, it's not unacceptable. After all, we are his girlfriends. Just after she finished talking to herself, He Qing, who was sleeping, or maybe half asleep and half awake, suddenly said. Lin Suhengren. Jiang Zuli was attracted by the voice and looked at He Qing. Then she heard her continue to say, I love you, keep bullying me, I like being bullied by you. Jiang Zuli's beautiful eyes slowly widened, and her pupils trembled and flickered. Chapter 254. Lily's thoughts. The room became very quiet. Jiang Zuli's mobile phone was still playing the information of various contestants in the music candidate competition and their past music, but she had no intention of watching it. She just listened to the sound, hugged her knees and sat on the bedside in a daze. With the sound of a fox whimpering in the distance, the little fox by the window stretched and woke up comfortably first. The fox's eyes looked at the ceiling and looked out the window at dusk. After a pause, he picked up the phone under the pillow and said in surprise, It's past 4 o'clock? I slept for 3 hours. She breathed a long sigh of relief, even if it was just a short time in the bathroom. But Brother Suhengren helped her. It was completely different from doing it herself. The degree of happiness was very different. She turned her head to look at Xiao He Qing, who was sleeping in the quilt next to her, and Jiang Zuli, who was sitting on the bed at the other end hugging her knees and in a daze. Han Wenwen asked in a low voice, Is Xiao Qing back? Where is Brother Suhengren? She was speechless, but Jiang Zuli didn't seem to hear it at all, as if she was still thinking about something. Han Wenwen breathed a sigh of relief and slowly sat up, supporting herself on the bed with her hands, her long hair falling down her shoulders. Is classmate Lin Suhengren back? Still no words. Han Wenwen looked at Jiang Zuli curiously. Lily? Lily. After calling twice, Jiang Zuli finally calmed down and turned her head, only to find that Han Wenwen had woken up. Han Wenwen, you're awake. What's wrong? Han Wenwen smiled helplessly. Why are you in a daze? Aren't you nervous about participating in the music candidate competition? She laughed. There's nothing to be nervous about. Compared to Suhengren, the competition is not that important, and it's not tomorrow. Han Wenwen was puzzled, feeling that her current state was completely different from before she went to bed, and continued to ask, Is classmate Lin Suhengren back? Yes, Suhengren is resting in the room now. He said that we will go to dinner together at 5 o'clock later. After that, he continued to be in a daze. The little fox blinked, not knowing what was wrong with Lily. Why did she suddenly seem to have lost half of her mind? She got out of bed. The snow-white long legs under the skirt went to hook slippers, put them on and walked to the door of Lin Suhengren's room and knocked gently. Lin Suhengren said, Come in, the door is not locked. The little fox opened a crack, poked its head in and looked at Lin Suhengren, who was sitting on the bed reading. Lin Suhengren found that it was Han Wenwen, and smiled. Are you awake? Is there something wrong? Han Wenwen shook her head meaningfully, and said with a smile, Nothing, just to see if classmate Lin Suhengren is back. After that, she threw a coquettish look at Lin Suhengren and closed the door for him. But just when Han Wenwen wanted to go to the bathroom to wash her face, her nose moved involuntarily. She smelled something. She looked at Lin Suhengren's room, which had already closed the door. Her face was puzzled and then blushed, thinking that this smell was not the smell of Brother Suhengren's thing. I should be right. It's just very faint. The little fox turned back to look at the half-open window. The rain outside has completely stopped, and there is no wind, but because the window is half open, the smell in the room will definitely be lost over time. So she can't quite understand when the smell appeared, and she doesn't know where the specific root is, but it must be there. First of all, it is ruled out that Brother Suhengren did it himself. After all, before the little fox served Lin Suhengren last week, she has never smelled that smell on Lin Suhengren. This means that Brother Suhengren has no habit of doing it. But this afternoon, I was sleeping, Lily was reading materials in the room, and Xiao Qing's personality was so honest, and she was sleeping on the bed now, which is even more impossible. Could it be that Brother Zhengren is very lustful now? That's why I can faintly smell that smell. If so, then my nose is more sensitive than before. Evolved. In this case, it seems that Brother Zhengren will not let me go tonight, and I really should serve Brother Zhengren well and take Brother Zhengren's first time. The little fox had an idea in her mind and no longer planned to wash her face. She changed directly to take a shower to prepare for the evening. She returned to the bed and found her suitcase, and took out a bath towel and shower gel from it. Lily, are you going to the bathroom? If not, I'm going to take a shower, Zhang Zuli said. No, Han Wenwen, what happened to her? He walked to her side with a bath towel and shower gel, and asked with concern, Lily? Are you okay? What happened? Zhang Zuli laughed and waved her hands. It's okay, nothing happened. What could happen? Nothing happened, nothing will happen. How can it be so easy to happen? Just think about it and nothing will happen. Well, just say it. Why do you repeat it so many times? Zhang Zuli blinked. Did I repeat it? More than repeating it, Han Wenwen asked seriously. Is it really okay? Zhang Zuli was a little anxious when she heard this. It must be okay. Why do you think it's okay? It's impossible. Han Wenwen thought she was so strange. It's good that you're okay. Then I'll take a shower. Well, go ahead. Han Wenwen went to the bathroom, locked the door, and took a shower. Zhang Zuli continued to hug her knees and turned to look at Xiao Heqing, who was still sleeping in the bed next to her. Her brows were slightly wrinkled, and her face was full of jealousy. It was a little after 5 o'clock when Han Wenwen finished her shower. During this time, Lin Zhengren also checked his mobile phone and found that the company had not sent him any messages. That is to say, Zhang Jingshi must have taken over all the company's affairs in the past few days. So he sent her a few messages. Jingshi, how are you these 2 days? Is the company busy these days? Zhang Jingshi replied almost instantly, I'm in good health, and the company is not busy. How are you over there? Is it going well? Yeah, it's going well, that's good, but since I got along with Zhang Zhang last time, it's really amazing. I've been working so efficiently these days. It's much easier than before. Lin Zhengren smiled and chatted with Zhang Jingshi briefly again. Since signing the contract with Zhang Jingshi, Lin Zhengren can actually feel that the speed of his cultivation experience is much faster than before. After all, Lin Zhengren can directly benefit from the 3 times bonus of the contractor's cultivation. However, even if the 3 little girls have improved, they are not studying all day long. But Zhang Jingshi is different. She is really busy with the company's affairs every day. The things she learns are not only miscellaneous but also intensive, which causes Lin Zhengren's experience to increase almost non-stop. The new level is even about to break through. At 5 o'clock, Han Wenwen had finished taking a shower and blowing her hair and sat on the bed. Lin Zhengren walked out of the room. Although Zhang Zuli was in a daze, she immediately came back to her senses when she saw Lin Zhengren. Sit down quickly. Lin Zhengren asked, are you too hungry? If you are hungry, let's go out and buy something to eat. Don't eat the food sent by the hotel tonight. I feel that the food sent at noon tastes average. Zhang Zuli nodded. Yeah, Han Wenwen also nodded. Okay, she looked at He Qing who was resting. What about Xiao Qing? Call her up. Lin Zhengren looked at He Qing. Zhang Zuli stared at Lin Zhengren's gentle demeanor, and jealousy sprouted in her heart again. Lin Zhengren, let He Qing have a good rest. There's no need to call her for now. Anyway, we'll be back after shopping and eat in the room. Chapter 255 3 Little Ones Under the Light. Lin Zhengren took Zhang Zuli and Han Wenwen out of the hotel. Let's go find some good places to eat nearby. Xiao Heqing in the room was still sleeping soundly, but no one saw Xiao Heqing immersed in her dream. She frowned slightly and felt a slight burning sensation in her body, as if something was spreading and moving inside her body. The minor flaws on her face were slowly disappearing, and her lips, which were slightly dry, gradually became rosy. Even a small pimple on her forehead gradually faded, although the process was quite slow. Lin Zhengren, Han Wenwen and Zhang Zuli were looking along the street outside and found a popular rice noodle shop that looked pretty good. While the 3 of them were queuing to buy things, Han Wenwen took out her mobile phone from her pocket and used it as a mirror to look at her face. After observing that her skin had become smoother last time, it seemed that her skin had not changed after waking up today. Obviously, if you look hard at the details, you can still find a little bit of pore flaws, which is not perfect. Could it be that Brother Zhengren's help was useless? Must I eat something delicious to swallow? Jiang Zuli, who was sandwiched between the two, looked back at Han Wenwen, who was looking at her phone. She didn't care what she was doing. It was normal for girls to love beauty. She was just still thinking about He Qing's dream talk. She looked back at Lin Zhengren, who was standing in front of her, and said subconsciously, Zhengren. Lin Zhengren turned back and said, "Is there something wrong?" Jiang Zuli didn't expect that she would hesitate after she said it, and didn't know how to ask. "No, nothing." Lin Zhengren was puzzled. "Just say it." Jiang Zuli hurriedly smiled perfunctorily. "It's okay. It's really okay. I just called you. You have to accompany me to the competition when the time comes." "Well, of course. Have I ever broken my promise?" She smiled and shook her head. "No." It was Lin Zhengren's turn in line, and he asked for 4 servings of rice noodles. Jiang Zuli said halfway, "Boss, I don't want mine spicy." After the 3 of them bought it, they returned to the hotel room with 4 servings of rice noodles. He Qing was still sleeping soundly on the bed, and she was very sweet. Han Wenwen was a little puzzled. Did Xiao Qing not sleep well last night? How could she sleep so well? She hasn't woken up yet. Lin Zhengren put the dinner he packed for her aside. She must be really sleepy. "Let's eat first." "We can eat when she wakes up," the 2 girls responded, and they sat together at the hotel's own dining table, sucking noodles and finishing them quickly. At about 6 o'clock, after dinner, Lin Zhengren returned to his separate room. Han Wenwen was thinking about what to do in the evening, so she didn't have the heart to play with her phone while lying on the bed, just quietly waiting for the second half of the night. Jiang Zuli also had no intention of playing with her phone. After dinner, she sat on the bed and stared at the sheets in a daze. I was already dumbfounded. For a moment, the atmosphere in the hotel room was inexplicably quiet compared to last night, with only the sound of the air conditioner. Han Wenwen looked at Jiang Zuli. "Lily? You're not playing with your phone? What are you doing sitting there?" Jiang Zuli looked at Han Wenwen. "You're not playing either. How about turning off the lights and going to bed?" Han Wenwen nodded. "Okay, then turn off the lights. Everyone should go to bed early. Anyway, the rain has stopped, and we have to go for a picnic tomorrow. Climbing the mountain must be very tiring." "That's right. Good night." So at around 6 in the evening, Jiang Zuli got out of bed, turned off the lights, and lay on the bed covered with a quilt. Han Wenwen also closed the windows and drew the curtains. Although they could vaguely hear the voices of tourists outside the hotel and the occasional passers-by in the corridor, the 4 of them actually started to sleep. Han Wenwen turned sideways, took out her phone and checked the time. It was only 6 in the evening. The little fox was thinking that she had to persuade everyone to go to bed early tonight, preferably before 10 o'clock, so that after Xiao Qing and Lily fell asleep, she could go to find Brother Zhengren to be intimate earlier. A little more time is a little more time. But I didn't expect that tonight was a godsend for the fox. Xiao Qing hadn't woken up since the afternoon, and Lily didn't seem to be making any noise, so tonight, wouldn't it be possible to go to Brother Zhengren's bed earlier? "No, let's go at 9:30. Hold on for a while longer, and wait until Lily is completely asleep before going." At 7 o'clock in the evening, it was quiet, and the air conditioner was humming. At 8 o'clock, there was still no sound, only the slight breathing of a few people. He Qing made a little whimpering sound in her sleep. At 8:30 in the evening, there was the sound of Jiang Zuli turning over. At 9:10, the little fox, who seemed to be sleeping, lay in the quilt with his legs curled up. The fox's eyes slowly opened at this moment, and the shrewd eyes looked at the curtains, hiding the mobile phone in the quilt to try not to expose any light, and checking the time. It was decided that the plan at 9:30 was also cancelled, and we would set off now. She first slowly turned her head to look at Xiao Qing and Lily to see how they were doing. Everything was normal. Han Wenwen tiptoed, carefully lifted the quilt and sat up, placed the pillow horizontally on the bed as a stand-in, and covered the stand-in with a quilt, so that in the dark it looked like she was still lying in the quilt. She didn't even dare to wear shoes, for fear that the slippers would make a clattering sound and disturb the 2 of them. She stepped on the ground and got out of bed. She swallowed her saliva and walked towards Lin Zhengren's room step by step without haste. Because Jiang Zuli and Xiao Qing both had their backs to Han Wenwen, it was almost foolproof. She bit her lower lip, slowly turned the door of Lin Zhengren's room, and slipped in quietly. It was at this time, what a coincidence. He Qing's eyes opened hazily. She was awakened by the urge to urinate, and got out of bed half asleep and half awake. She didn't find the slippers by the bed, so she went to the bathroom barefoot directly, but she couldn't hold it anymore. She pushed open the bathroom door that was not closed, and wanted to flush the toilet after comfortably using it, but she couldn't find the flush button. There was a small baffle on top of the hotel, and she touched it directly. So she was stunned for a moment, and her sleepiness became much less. Where's the flush button? She got up and touched the light in the bathroom. But when she was about to turn on the light, she accidentally saw Han Wenwen's bed while standing in the bathroom. She found that Han Wenwen's bed was very strange. He Qing's brain was not so fast, but she subconsciously did not turn on the light. Instead, she walked to Han Wenwen's bed and found that she was not there. There was only a pillow standing upright on the bed. The suspicion of these days made little He Qing immediately turn her head to look at Lin Suhengren's room. Then she slowly turned the door and looked into the room. At this moment, the little fox was standing quietly by Lin Suhengren's bed, watching Lin Suhengren sleeping, and wanted to wake him up secretly. How to wake him up? Licked his lips and looked meaningfully. As a result, when her hand was about to lift the quilt, the door opened and He Qing pushed the door in. The little fox got up and turned his head when he heard the sound. He Qing's eyes gradually widened after seeing the other person's figure in the dark. Then the headlight in the room where the three little ones slept suddenly turned on. It was Lily who got out of bed and turned it on. She was awakened by He Qing's voice just now, "Where's the flush button?" So she saw with her own eyes that He Qing turned the door of Suhengren's room, and quickly got out of bed and turned on the headlight beside her. At this moment in the room, the light made everything visible. The little fox stood by Lin Suhengren's bed and stared at He Qing blankly. Little He Qing standing at the door of Lin Suhengren's room, He Qing, who had completely lost her sleep, looked at Han Wenwen who didn't know what she was doing. "Wenwen, why are you in Lin Suhengren's room?" And after the light was turned on, He Qing turned around and looked at Zhang Zuli behind her. Zhang Zuli stared at He Qing, and said with jealousy, "He Qing." Lin Suhengren naturally woke up, opened his eyes and sat up from the bed, looking at the three people who were looking at each other in a line. Chapter 256 Confession Bureau. The air was filled with awkwardness and confusion. Zhang Zuli was jealous, He Qing was confused, and Han Wenwen was flustered. These emotions intertwined, making time go much slower. The little fox was the first to laugh and say, "Little Qing, I was going to the bathroom, so I came to see if Lin Suhengren was asleep." He Qing looked at Han Wenwen again, but she didn't say anything. Instead, her almond-shaped eyes blinked twice. Han Wenwen's forehead was covered with cold sweat under her smiling expression. She also knew that her reason was illogical. After all, He Qing and Lily were Suhengren's brother's girlfriends in public, and it was not justifiable for her to run into his room in the middle of the night. No reason could make it up. Then Zhang Zuli asked, "He Qing, why did you want to go to Suhengren's room after going to the bathroom?" Her words made the scene even more chaotic. He Qing glanced at Lily and found that Lily's face was more jealous than usual. At this moment, Lin Suhengren on the bed breathed a sigh of relief. After a few brief glances between the three girls, he understood what was going on. Tonight was destined to end badly. However, they were all little girls following him, and Lin Suhengren, who was the master of the house, had to solve this situation. A few minutes later, Zhang Zuli, He Qing, and Han Wenwen all sat on their respective beds. Lin Suhengren put on his coat, knowing that he would definitely not be able to sleep tonight. He first looked at the jealous Lily. When he went to buy her rice noodles in the evening, he found that this girl was a little strange. She called him but didn't say anything. Now he finally knew what she was thinking. Zhang Zuli saw Lin Suhengren looking at her, and looked away with jealous eyes without saying anything. Lin Suhengren looked at He Qing, who was in the middle of the bed. He Qing noticed Lin Suhengren's sight, and the intimacy in the afternoon came to mind. He Qing's face flushed, and she smiled sweetly at her, very well behaved. But his eyes were fixed on the little fox beside the bed. Lin Suhengren finally looked at the little fox. Han Wenwen bit her lower lip and stared at the ground. Lin Suhengren said, "Let me explain." Who knew Han Wenwen also said, "Let me talk to He Qing." At this point, Han Wenwen knew that she could no longer hide it. Although He Qing did not see any clear scenes, when she explained it just now. The way He Qing looked at her, it was obvious that she had long suspected her. It was definitely impossible to hide it. In this case, it would be better for her to speak up at this time. Letting Brother Suhengren speak would be a bit like evading responsibility. And hiding it from everyone was originally her idea. Seeing Han Wenwen looking up at him, Lin Suhengren asked softly, "Are you sure I don't need to say it? You can't explain it, right?" Han Wenwen smiled, "A little bit, But I'll talk to He Qing alone, and Brother Zhengren can go and coax Lily." The smart Han Wenwen also understood that the reason why Lily was jealous was because of He Qing, but she didn't know what happened because she was sleeping at the time. But at this moment, when the four words Brother Zhengren came out of Han Wenwen's mouth, He Qing and Zhang Zuli were both stunned. They had never heard this name from Han Wenwen's mouth, because in their impression, Han Wenwen always called Lin Zhengren's classmate. It has not changed for so many years. Lin Zhengren looked at He Qing again. "He Qing." Little He Qing responded slowly and stared at Lin Zhengren. Even though she was not so smart, she could vaguely sense it from Lin Zhengren's expression at the moment. Does Lin Zhengren also like Wenwen? Her little face was a little jealous, but she still nodded, meaning you don't have to worry, Wenwen and I will have a good chat. There will be no fight. Lin Zhengren smiled and touched little He Qing's head. Zhang Zuli became even more jealous when she saw this scene. Her little hands grabbed the quilt, and her heart shrank for a moment. Until Lin Zhengren came to Zhang Zuli and said, "Put on your coat, I'll walk with you." Zhang Zuli was puzzled. Where to? Lin Zhengren didn't say much. Zhang Zuli took the coat from the bed and put it on, turned around to look at He Qing, and followed Lin Zhengren out of the room. The door of the room closed gently with a click. Only Han Wenwen and He Qing were left in the room. The good girlfriends who used to talk about everything were so silent when they were alone together for the first time. Han Wenwen opened her red lips and was about to speak, but He Qing got out of bed and went to the bathroom in slippers to flush the toilet. After what happened just now, she didn't have time to flush the toilet. The sound of the toilet water was infinitely amplified at this moment, and He Qing stood at the door of the bathroom and looked at Han Wenwen. Han Wenwen also looked at He Qing. They stared at each other for a while. The two smiled at the same time, and little He Qing said softly, "I brought poker cards when I came here. Wenwen, do you want to play? If you play, whoever loses will have to tell the truth, and they can't lie." Han Wenwen understood what little He Qing meant, and nodded slowly. Okay, the street was not empty because it was just after 9 o'clock in the evening. On the contrary, it was lively. The snack street was not crowded, but at a glance it was full of couples and tourists talking and laughing. There was a special fresh smell in the mountains after the rain. Lin Zhengren took Zhang Zuli through the snack street. Lin Zhengren asked her if she was hungry. Zhang Zuli shook her head. "I had dinner in the evening. You know I don't eat as much as He Qing and Han Wenwen, and I don't like snacks." Lin Zhengren looked at Zhang Zuli, who was born with its sun-dear attribute. "Are you jealous?" Zhang Zuli didn't expect Zhengren to talk so directly, and stuttered, "Although I want to say that I'm not jealous, who will believe it?" Lin Zhengren saw a small observation tower in the distance. However, since it was midnight, it was pitch black at the foot of the mountain, and you couldn't see anything standing on the observation deck, so there were very few people. "Let's go over there." Lin Zhengren and Zhang Zuli walked slowly to the observation deck. There was no one here tonight, and there was no light. Lin Zhengren and Zhang Zuli stood at the railing on the platform and looked down the mountain. Zhang Zuli held the railing and said, "It's so dark, I can't see anything at the foot of the mountain. It's so gloomy." Lin Zhengren smiled. "Are you scared?" Zhang Zuli snorted, "I'm not afraid. How can I be so timid and Zhengren is by my side? I'm even less afraid. The only thing I'm afraid of in my life is," she paused and continued in a low voice, "that is, if you suddenly don't like me one day. That's impossible. I will always like someone I like. In fact, I think I'm very innocent." Zhang Zuli pursed her lips, and her eyes had changed. "I believe the first two sentences, but the second one is a lie. Do you think it's the first day I met you, you idiot?" Lin Zhengren smiled. "When you looked at He Qing in the room just now, there was a lot of jealousy in your eyes. Do you want to ask what happened between He Qing and me this afternoon?" In the afternoon, Zhang Zuli's lips trembled. She seemed to know the answer from the other party's tone. Hearing this, she quickly interrupted, "Zhengren, don't say it. I will cry." Lin Zhengren looked at Zhang Zuli. Zhang Zuli's voice was already hoarse and she said slowly, "It was only today that I realized that I was so selfish and didn't want you to do it with other people." She felt a little aggrieved. Obviously, everyone relies on their own abilities, but I can lose anything, but I can't accept losing Zhengren. I thought I had already accepted that you could be intimate with He Qing, but today, when I thought about the possibility that you and He Qing could do the kind of thing together, I was very jealous and felt very uncomfortable. Even the music competition that I studied for so long seemed meaningless. She looked down the mountain with her proud eyes, sniffing and wiping tears. "You know that you are the one I like the most since I was a child. Nothing is more important than you. She suddenly couldn't hold back her emotions. Her eyes were full of tears. You can't really do it with He Qing? Woo woo woo. Why don't you choose me? I was clearly ready for this trip, but I ended up being a loser. She looked at Lin Zhengren and cried loudly. Lin Zhengren reached out and hugged her. Zhang Zuli cried even harder in his arms, heartbroken. Lin Zhengren touched her head and comforted her. What do you mean by a loser? We are not breaking up. Woo 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 woo. Zhengren, I really feel so selfish. I know that He Qing and I are both your girlfriends and we have already agreed, but I still feel jealous, especially since it's your first time. No, it's not selfish, it's human nature. I just want you all because I like you guys. Woo 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 woo. You playboy. Okay, you will feel better after crying, but tell me the truth. Do you hate He Qing? No, I don't hate her. We have a pretty good relationship and are good sisters, but that was your first time. Please comfort me. I'm so sad, Zhengren. You know I am usually very strong, but I really can't control my tears. Wow. Lin Zhengren looked at the utility room next to the observation deck. Although it was locked, it didn't affect Lin Zhengren from opening it. Find a quiet place to comfort her. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257 Triangle. Lin Zhengren let go of Zhang Zuli. Lily, wait a minute, Zhang Zuli sniffed and spoke incoherently. Seeing that he let go of her, she followed him all the time. Zhengren, where are you going? Don't leave me. Lin Zhengren smiled and touched her head. I won't leave you. He walked to the door of the utility room and saw the rusty iron lock. He tapped it lightly with his fingers. The iron lock snapped. Lin Zhengren opened the door of the utility room and found that the space inside was still very large and there were not many things. Lin Zhengren turned around and said, it just rained and it's easy to catch a cold if you cry outside in the cool breeze. Come in and cry. Zhang Zuli cried even harder when she heard this. She didn't see what Lin Zhengren had just done. The better you treat me, the sadder I am. Woo woo woo. Lin Zhengren took her hand and went in, took off his coat and found a flat place to put it as a cushion. Then he hugged Lily who was crying in his arms. The quiet and dim environment of being alone does make people feel safe and relaxed. It was unknown how long she had been feeling wronged, but Zhang Zuli finally calmed down a little with her sniffling. Lin Zhengren asked, are you not crying anymore? Zhang Zuli hugged Lin Zhengren. I don't have any tears anymore. And you're so warm in my arms, I can't cry anymore. Lin Zhengren laughed, then hugged me for a while longer. Stupid. She hugged Lin Zhengren again. Her voice was hoarse. If I had known, I should have gone with He Qing to find you this afternoon. If I had known, I should have turned off my phone and not answered any calls. I was still laughing in my room when I received the news that I was going to participate in the show, and I felt very happy. I didn't expect that my house was robbed. And you and He Qing were actually in the afternoon. She wanted to cry again when she said this. Lin Zhengren held her face with his hands. Zhang Zuli's aggrieved face seemed to understand what he meant, and there was a faint blush on her face. Lin Zhengren slowly approached, and Zhang Zuli also opened her mouth and cried and kissed him. They kissed for a while. Lin Zhengren separated and asked, are you feeling better? Zhang Zuli looked away and didn't speak. Lin Zhengren kissed her again. And Zhang Zuli closed her eyes and kissed him again. Her hands gradually grabbed his clothes, and she felt Lin Zhengren hugging her waist. Then he separated them and asked, are you feeling better? Stupid, you are being naughty, but things have already come to this, crying won't help, and I'm not the kind of person who cries, Lin Zhengren thought, isn't it? In his impression, Lily seemed to have cried a lot since she was a child. Zhang Zuli said, at least your first kiss was mine, and you didn't give everything to He Qing. Lin Zhengren paused. Zhang Zuli looked at Lin Zhengren in confusion, and looked at him, and reacted inexplicably. Why? Did it Zhengren's first kiss target me? Lin Zhengren, Zhang Zuli, she bit her trembling lips, and after realizing the truth, she felt wronged, and cried again with a wow, even more than before. Lin Zhengren had to comfort her again. Okay, I can't accept it. You only know how to bully me. You have only known how to bully me since I was a child. Lin Zhengren saw that she was about to be unable to bear it. It was not good to cry like this. Her eyes would be swollen the next day. So he held her face and quickly blocked her mouth. Kissing her, this trick really worked. Zhang Zuli hugged Lin Zhengren, and naturally chose to kiss Zhengren between crying and kissing. This time the kiss lasted for a long time, until Zhang Zuli completely calmed down. She lay in Lin Zhengren's arms. You only know how to play tricks. You took advantage of the fact that I like you and have been bullying me endlessly since we were young. That's not bullying, right? Haven't we been bickering since we were young? I'm not talking about the kind of bullying where you hit me or scold me. That kind of bullying doesn't matter. Anyway, you hit my head every day. I'm talking about the emotional aspect. You have never given me your first time in all these years. I was only in the 2nd grade when I met you, and you had already met He Qing. My first childhood sweetheart was not me, and the first girl you met was not me. None of them were me. I still remember that in elementary school you called He Qing behind my back every day. It was even better in junior high school. After He Qing came, you just stopped pretending. What do you mean behind my back? She looked up at Lin Zhengren. Wait, you are not thinking about He Qing now, are you? Lin Zhengren replied. How could that be? Am I not accompanying you now? She stared into Lin Zhengren's eyes, and for the first time her eyes were so sharp. You can't lie to me. You have never lied to me since we were young? Yeah, I didn't lie to you. Zhang Zuli did not see deception in Lin Zhengren's eyes, which proved that she still had some place in his heart. She breathed a sigh of relief. She leaned back in Lin Zhengren's arms, as if thinking about something. Striving for some possibility in a desperate situation. He asked in a low voice, Zhengren, have you tasted He Qing? What does it mean to have tasted them all? Zhang Zuli suddenly sat up and searched the ground. She found a weed on the ground in the utility room and broke it into a triangle with her hands. She showed it to him with a very serious expression. For example, this triangle, as we all know, a triangle has 3 sides, the same length and the same importance. The upper angle represents the upper angle, the front angle represents the front angle, and the back angle also represents the back angle. Although it seemed like nonsense, Lin Zhengren actually understood it. Zhang Zuli blushed and looked arrogant. You should understand what I mean, right? After all, you are much smarter than me. Lin Zhengren smiled helplessly and nodded. So Zhang Zuli pointed to the front angle of the triangle with her finger. This is the first time, Lin Zhengren said. There's no need to ask about this. Zhang Zuli looked at him jealously and pointed to the upper corner. This is the first time, Lin Zhengren nodded. Zhang Zuli's eyes widened and her face blushed. You. He Qing even did this kind of thing. In fact, He Qing didn't. Little He Qing was very shy and scared for the first time in the afternoon. So although Lin Zhengren tossed her for the whole afternoon, but he didn't taste it all. The reason why she nodded was because she gave it to Wenwen. Zhang Zuli was jealous and angry, but at this moment she was actually a little scared, because this was her last hope, pointing to the last corner. This is the first time. Lin Zhengren shook his head. No. Zhang Zuli was surprised, as if she saw the dawn of victory, and asked again. This? No, you haven't tried the side of this triangle. Well, my mathematics has not yet studied this field. Zhang Zuli's face flushed. She shyly looked away, put her hands down. Why did you try the first 2, but not the last one? Do you want to hear the truth? Zhang Zuli hesitated for a moment, afraid that his answer would be different from what she thought, but even so she still wanted to know. Of course I have to hear the truth. There is no point in lying, Lin Zhengren said, because last week you said you would compensate me. I still remember this, so I plan to try it when I'm with you. Zhang Zuli blushed badly, closed her eyes and clenched her fists, cursing like a spoiled child. You, pervert. Zhengren is a pervert. Big pervert. Pighead, idiot. But after saying that, Zhang Zuli saw Lin Zhengren's eyes and didn't dare to look at him again. Because Lin Zhengren's answer was the answer she wanted to hear the most. She was very happy. She looked down at her golden ponytail and slowly put it in his palm. I'll give it to you. I promise to compensate you. I won't break my promise. Chapter 258 Possession. Lin Zhengren looked at the golden ponytail in his hand. Lily's hair was quite smooth. Now, Zhang Zuli hesitated and said shyly, I didn't say now. You can do it any time you want. Anyway, she thought of He Qing again. If she dragged it on, she might be intercepted by He Qing again. She couldn't fall into the same pit forever. So she snorted and asked him, don't you want it now? Don't you want to eat me again after eating He Qing? Lin Zhengren stared at Lily's shy and lovely appearance. She was not a bit more cute when she was shy than when she was tasting. After saying that, Zhang Zuli touched her pocket. She knew that it was not possible not to take the initiative at this time. The longer the night, the more dreams there are. Then she took out a pack of condoms from her pocket and handed them to Lin Zhengren. I also brought this. Lin Zhengren looked at the 2 condoms in surprise and picked them up. Why do you still carry this kind of thing with you? She said shamefully. I'm afraid of what might happen. After all, we both agreed in the hotel last time that we would do the kind of thing on this trip. What if the hotel doesn't have this thing at that time? Then there will be no chance again. She paused and stammered, and, I'm also afraid that Zhengren, you may not do that kind of thing with me in the room. What if you suddenly want to do it somewhere else? As a girlfriend, I have to be prepared, otherwise you will definitely be angry if I spoil your fun. After saying that, Zhang Zuli saw Lin Zhengren's smiling expression and felt that she had been embarrassed to the extreme. But Zhengren is her boyfriend, so it's embarrassing. So she mustered up the last bit of courage, stared at him with a beating heart and asked, so you don't want to taste what I taste like? Zhengren, I'm also very delicious, and I will definitely not let you down. Lin Zhengren touched the 2 ponytails in his hand. He examined Zhang Zuli at the moment. He put his free hand around Zhang Zuli's waist, and Zhang Zuli moved closer to him. The 2 of them stuck together. When she pursed her lips and wanted to kiss Lin Zhengren whispered, then I'm really rude. According to what we said last time, I will eat you up. After all, Lily is the cutest in my heart. Since I want to eat you, I will taste it well. Zhang Zuli's heart beat faster than ever when she was called cute so bluntly. She held Lin Zhengren's clothes tightly with her little hands, staring at her childhood sweetheart whom she had known and loved for so many years. It's up to you. Anyway, I belong to you, a big fool. You can do whatever you want to me. I only like you and everything you do to me, big fool. Do you know how much I love you? Their lips gradually moved together, and Zhang Zuli closed her eyes and slowly experienced Lin Zhengren's tenderness. Lily, take off your coat and use it as a cushion, otherwise there are a lot of weeds on the ground and it's quite dirty. Yeah, Zhang Zuli took off her pink coat and laid it on the ground with Lin Zhengren's coat, using it as a bed. In the dim utility room, only 1 or 2 faint moonlights from above could shine through the gaps in the wooden boards. Zhang Zuli lay on her coat on the ground. She looked at him with crystal clear eyes, interlocked her fingers with him, and held them together. Zhengren, Lin Zhengren smiled, don't worry, even if I eat you up, I will do it slowly. After all, you are not disposable food, don't be afraid. She blushed and turned her head. Tisk, I'm not afraid, idiot. Lin Zhengren slowly kissed her lips a few times, and Zhang Zuli would respond every time he kissed her. He started from Lily's neck and slowly tasted her. In the hotel room, the card game began with the sound of the flushing toilet. Han Wenwen and Xiao Heqing sat on a bed, playing poker in silence. Although the card game didn't last long, the awkward atmosphere during the game would be dispersed by the card game. In just a few minutes, Xiao Heqing won the first round. I won. Han Wenwen slowly put the cards she threw in her hand into the deck. Xiao Heqing, ask, I promise I won't lie. Xiao Heqing stared at Han Wenwen and said simply and directly, Wenwen, do you like Lin Zhengren? The little fox bit her lower lip, blushed and nodded without hesitation. Yes, I like him very much. Although she had expected it, she was still shocked when she heard her best friend say so directly that she liked her boyfriend. Her pure almond eyes widened and her little hands clenched. Okay, let's play another round, Han Wenwen whispered. Actually, Xiao Heqing, just ask directly, I will tell you everything. Xiao Heqing put away the poker cards. No, if you ask continuously, Wenwen and I will definitely quarrel. Playing poker can also help us calm down and talk slowly. Anyway, a round only takes 2 minutes. Han Wenwen looked at He Qing, with a helpless smile on her lips. After another round, Xiao Heqing won again. She asked, how long have you liked him? Or when did you start to like Lin Zhengren? Han Wenwen stared at He Qing. Many years, since junior high school, until now. Junior high school, so you liked Lin Zhengren when you first met? So early? Love at first sight, that's not the case. Didn't I tell Xiao Heqing when we were little that I don't have any feelings for boys, and I even thought that I probably won't like any boys in my life, including when I first met Brother Zhengren, when I met him in junior high school. I just thought Brother Zhengren was handsome and interesting, but at that time he was Xiao Heqing's childhood sweetheart, and I didn't have any thoughts, but the little fox thought of the serious illness and the night of the new year. Even now, These two things still make her unforgettable. After these two things, she knew that she couldn't leave Lin Suhengren in this life. Han Wenwen knew women best. They are inherently stubborn, and she is even more paranoid. So either you never remember a man, you just don't love him. Or once he gets into your heart, Han Wenwen knows that she can die for Brother Suhengren. Even if Brother Suhengren is calling her to commit suicide for love, she won't hesitate for a moment. After all, without Brother Suhengren in this world, what's the point of living for her? But later, after going through some things, although it may not be something earth-shattering, I completely fell in love with Brother Suhengren, and I can't leave him. Little He Qing could see Han Wenwen's deep love for Lin Suhengren in her eyes at this moment. She had never seen such a look before. Inexplicably, tears appeared in little He Qing's eyes. Han Wenwen was moved, and she did feel guilty. I'm sorry, Xiao Qing, I kept it from you for so long. He Qing wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes with her hands. I never knew you liked him so much, but why didn't you tell me? Aren't we best friends? In my heart, Xiao Qing is indeed my best friend and my only friend. I won't lie today. I didn't tell Xiao Qing at first because I knew you liked him. I even wanted to bring you two together at first, but then I fell in love with him, and I didn't know how to say it. I wanted to say it originally, but as this love grew stronger, He Qing looked at her intently. Are you trying to say that you want to possess Lin Suhengren alone and don't want to share him with others? But it's impossible for Lin Suhengren to simply like someone. Han Wenwen looked at the other person in surprise. He Qing frowned and said, I feel the same way. Everyone is the same. Who doesn't want to have Lin Suhengren all to themselves? If he wasn't a playboy, everyone would want to have him all to themselves. They are all trying their best to sneak away, hoping that he can stay with them more. Han Wenwen smiled. That's true. Even Lily is the same. The two best friends stared at each other and suddenly laughed. Chapter 259 The Truth. Han Wenwen took 2 pieces of toilet paper from the side. Carefully wiped the tears of He Qing. After a while, the two best friends sat at the same bedside, and stopped playing cards. Instead, they sat side by side with their knees hugged. He Qing looked ahead. In fact, I know very well that even if Lily, and now Wenwen, have become Lin Suhengren's girlfriends and become so-called sisters, we will always have our own little thoughts. This is unavoidable. After all, we are all independent girls and it is impossible to be really selfless. I also have a lot of things about being with him that I haven't told you and Lily. I think Lily must have had this experience. It's the same. Han Wenwen smiled and said, to put it bluntly, we all like Brother Suhengren too much. Even though we know that he is fickle and philandering, we don't want to leave him, so this is the only way. At this point, Han Wenwen reminded a key point, but except for the things about Brother Suhengren, I really didn't hide other things from Xiao Qing. I told you everything. In my heart, Xiao He Qing and Brother Suhengren are in the same position. He Qing stared at her. Han Wenwen narrowed her fox eyes slightly. Brother Suhengren is first and Xiao Qing is second. I think in Xiao Qing's heart, Brother Suhengren is also the greatest, right? I am second. I can still see it usually. Little He Qing lowered her head a little embarrassedly. There's nothing I can do. When a girl has someone she likes, he must be the first. She gives her heart to him. How can others compare with him? But besides Lin Suhengren, the second most important person in my heart is Wenwen. Me too. He Qing looked at Han Wenwen with an expression that was completely different from before. Wenwen, you are completely different now. I can see with my own eyes that you like him. Han Wenwen smiled and said, actually, I also changed little by little. I didn't expect that I would like someone so much. She covered her mouth and whispered in He Qing's ear, I didn't even know I was so good at acting like a spoiled child. It's as if I have a split personality in front of him. I can't help but choke on my words when I speak. Little He Qing laughed out loud and felt the same way. Me too. I talk back to you every day when I'm with you. When I was with Lin Suhengren, I was very obedient. I never dared to go against his words, let alone talk back. I didn't even have the mind to talk back. After saying that, Little He Qing said helplessly, but I can understand that you can hide it from me, but Lin Suhengren actually hid it for you. The little fox bit her lip and whispered, I asked him not to tell. Brother Suhengren really dotes on me. He Qing's face was full of jealousy. Han Wenwen quickly took her arm. Xiao Qing, are you jealous? How can I not be jealous? You treat me and Lily like this. How long have you two been together? It can't be many years, right? She looked at the little fox's smiling face. It's been so long that I just found out. I'm sorry, Xiao Qing. Don't be angry. Han Wenwen stroked Xiao Heking's head with her hand. Xiao Heking would also puff up her cheeks in anger. She snorted. Actually, it's my fault that I didn't guard against Wenwen before. After all, now that I think about it, you were jealous of Lin Sahengren a lot, but you fooled me, Han Wenwen said awkwardly. Sometimes I really can't help it. I really can't help being jealous, Wenwen. Can you tell me how you fell in love with him? Okay, the two besties talked about how Han Wenwen fell in love with Lin Sahengren back then. Han Wenwen roughly talked about the fever in the new year. He Qing was so moved that tears welled up in her eyes after listening. Han Wenwen smiled and said, although it may not be a big deal for others, but for me, Brother Sahengren was so handsome that day. How could I bear that he was so nice to me? I couldn't help but like him, and I liked him very, very much. It's so touching. If the hero of the story wasn't my boyfriend, I would have cried. Han Wenwen laughed out loud. He Qing looked at Han Wenwen distressedly. But Wenwen, your uncle already knew about your family's affairs. Han Wenwen knew the reason why she was speechless, and said without taboo, before I met Brother Sahengren, my mother's departure did have a great impact on me. My uncle has a new life now, but now I am very happy every day. As long as I see Brother Sahengren, I look forward to my future life every day. I have never felt that the world is so beautiful. Little He Qing and Han Wenwen leaned their heads together. Han Wenwen, Xiao Qing, let's serve Brother Sahengren together in the future. Serve. Xiao Heking blushed. What a strange word, although there is nothing wrong with it, she said softly. Wenwen and I will still be best friends in the future. Yes, Xiao Qing has always been my best friend. Xiao Heking was curious, but in this way, Lin Sahengren will have 3 girlfriends. He can't add more in the future, right? Adding more will be a bit too much. Han Wenwen recalled the past and stretched out a hand to show a number. Actually, I asked Brother Sahengren this question before, and he told me that the maximum is 7. He Qing was shocked and then shouted, how much more? 7. The trees on the lookout rustled in the gentle wind. There was a slight sound in the utility room. Jiang Zuli grabbed the railing. Lin Sahengren grabbed her ponytail. I don't know how much time has passed. Jiang Zuli, who had golden ponytails, changed her clothes. Then she quickly hugged Lin Sahengren tightly, her face still red. Lin Sahengren glanced at the time and thought that more than 3 hours had passed. Lily, Jiang Zuli's voice changed. It was still arrogant but so gentle. What? Tell me. Tired. She was too shy to know how to start. It's okay. If you want to do it again, you can. Lin Sahengren smiled and hugged her tightly. He still had a lot of physical strength, unlike ordinary people. If I continue to do it, I will really hurt you. I can't bear it. I really didn't realize that. Huh, idiot. Are you still jealous? Jiang Zuli grabbed Lin Sahengren's clothes tightly with her little hands. It's like this. Why should I be jealous? I won't be jealous anymore. Anyway, we are even. I don't have nothing. She raised her head slightly, looked at Lin Sahengren shyly. It's just, I still want you to kiss me. I haven't kissed you enough. Lin Sahengren touched her hot face. Then let's kiss for a while and then go back. I'll carry you back to the hotel, okay? Although it will be very embarrassing to be seen by others, this is the only way. I can't walk. She took the initiative to kiss Lin Sahengren's lips, and experienced Lin Sahengren's tenderness again. Lin Sahengren then carried Jiang Zuli out of the utility room. The coats of both of them were definitely useless, as the fabric had been torn. But Jiang Zuli didn't feel cold, because Sahengren was warm. Are you cold? He asked. Jiang Zuli shook her head in her arms. No, you should sleep for a while. When you wake up after returning to the hotel, it will be tomorrow, okay? She was carried down the mountain by Lin Sahengren. Before going to bed, she thought to herself, no wonder He Qing was carried back like this. So that's it. Her eyes opened slightly, sparkling and moving. But Lily won a big victory today, and she loves Sahengren so much. Chapter 260, No Talk That Night. Lin Sahengren carried Jiang Zuli back to the hotel room. He knocked on the door. Han Wenwen and Xiao Heking, who were still talking at the head of the bed, heard the voice. Han Wenwen asked, who is it? Lin Sahengren, it's me. Xiao Heking was surprised to hear the voice and said, Lin Sahengren is back? I'll go open the door. She hurriedly got out of bed and went to the door. I'll open the door, but she saw Lin Sahengren carrying Jiang Zuli in, and her eyes trembled for a moment, because she was also carried back in the afternoon. Could it be? But soon she saw Jiang Zuli's eyes were a little red, as if she had cried. and she cried for a long time. Xiao Heqing was surprised and realized that such a thing should not have happened. Come to think of it, it was more than 3 hours in the afternoon. I did that with Zhengren several times. It can't be that it's only been a few hours, and it's been several times again. According to the books I read before, normally only girls can indulge themselves without caring about the number of times. Boys can't fight without limit. Lin Zhengren, you're back. Lily is. Lin Zhengren didn't hide it, because the redness of the corners of the eyes could be easily seen, so he said, she accompanied me to walk on the street for a long time, and she cried for a while, so she was exhausted, crying. Little He Qing stared at Lily, who was sleeping soundly. Han Wenwen also came over at this time. Lily cried. Lin Zhengren smiled and said, she is just like this, it's okay, she has been coaxed, you two don't have to worry, just sleep for a while, the two girls responded. But at the same time, Han Wenwen was also curious, why was Lily so jealous today? What happened in the afternoon? Lin Zhengren looked at the appearance of little He Qing and Han Wenwen at the moment, especially little He Qing's eyes seemed to be slightly red. Asked, you cried too? Little He Qing groaned, rubbed her eyes and said obediently, no. She asked Wenwen, I didn't cry, did I? Wenwen. Han Wenwen smiled and replied, yes, I did. When we were chatting at the beginning, little He Qing realized that it was true, but she immediately waved her hand to explain to Lin Zhengren to prevent him from misunderstanding. It had nothing to do with Wenwen. I couldn't help it, Lin Zhengren, don't worry, Wenwen and I didn't quarrel, we are still good girlfriends. Han Wenwen also smiled and said, Brother Zhengren, don't worry, we have finished chatting, I will talk to Lily tomorrow when she wakes up. Lin Zhengren knew from the expressions of the two that the chat was not bad. He walked to Han Wenwen and reached out to touch the fox's head. Han Wenwen rubbed his hand with her head obediently. Hearing his doting tone, it will be exposed sooner or later, Han Wenwen bit her lip awkwardly. Little He Qing had never seen such a doting scene before. She felt that Lin Zhengren would touch Wenwen's head on weekdays, and Wenwen was so good at acting coquettishly, rubbing her face against Lin Zhengren's hand, really like a little fox. Wenwen was so good at it. She was shy and jealous and didn't want to continue watching. It wasn't until Lin Zhengren turned around and touched Xiao Heqing's head that Xiao Heqing's jealousy was reduced a lot. Lin Zhengren, in that case, it's not early today, it's already early in the morning, let's take a break? I was thinking of going to have a picnic tomorrow morning, but now it's probably not until noon. You three should sleep in tonight, and we'll set off at noon. Xiao Heqing and Han Wenwen nodded. The atmosphere was still a little quiet, and everyone was staring at Lin Zhengren. Inexplicably, Lin Zhengren came up with an idea that could perfectly end tonight's emergency. I suddenly have an idea, how about this, you two sleep with me tonight? The two girls said in unison, sleep together. He Qing's little face flushed. The little fox was also shy, thinking what did Brother Zhengren mean by that? Is it just to sleep or? Lin Zhengren was puzzled, why? Don't you want to? Xiao Heqing was so shy that her voice was timid, and she lowered her head with red hairs. No, I don't want to, but, how can 3 people sleep? Just sleep on each side and I'll hold you two. Anyway, you two are my girlfriends, and it's just right to finish today's work. Have a good rest tonight, and have a barbecue and walk around the mountain together tomorrow. Han Wenwen was relieved when she heard this, thinking that she really thought too much, and scared the fox to death. So Han Wenwen and Xiao Heqing looked at each other, and the two besties simply exchanged glances. They both nodded in shame. Seeing that they agreed, Lin Zhengren said, then you go in first. I've been walking outside for so long and my body is a little dirty. I'll take a shower and go back to the bedroom. Yeah, they nodded together again. After that, Lin Zhengren went to the bathroom, closed the door and quickly put hot water in preparation for a shower, and asked Han Wenwen to bring her pajamas. After Han Wenwen went to the bedroom to find pajamas and handed them to her, she turned back and smiled shyly after looking at Xiao Heqing. Xiao Heqing whispered, then I have to change into pajamas too. I didn't have time to change clothes when I went to bed in the afternoon. Wenwen, you go into the room first, I'll wait for you. I just want to change into pajamas too. Let's go in together, that's fine. Xiao Heqing sat on the bed and found pink cartoon pajamas from the box. When she changed her clothes, she headed back to Han Wenwen. Because after making out with Lin Zhengren in the afternoon, He Qing didn't take a shower. She secretly stared at her thighs when she changed her underwear. She found that her body was so clean after making out, and her skin was smooth and fragrant. I remember that I clearly sweated a little at that time. Was it an illusion? After she changed her clothes, Han Wenwen also cleaned up. The two besties got up and walked into Lin Sehengren's bedroom hand in hand. Lin Sehengren took only more than 10 minutes to take a shower. He came out of the bathroom after blowing his hair in his pajamas. When she saw her bedroom, Han Wenwen and Xiao Heqing had already lain in bed. He glanced at Zhang Zuli, who was sleeping soundly. Lily, with her blonde hair and twin ponytails, was sleeping particularly soundly. He turned off the lights in both rooms and went to the bedroom bed. The soft moonlight shone onto the bed from the small gap in the middle of the curtains on both sides. Lin Sehengren was lying in the middle of the bed, holding Han Wenwen with his left hand and little He Qing with his right hand. The two besties were lying on Lin Sehengren diagonally. Their faces were pressed against his chest. Because their eyes occasionally made contact, He Qing and Han Wenwen were too shy to say anything. This was the first time that Lin Sehengren had held them like this. Lin Sehengren smelled the fragrance of the two girls and felt quite comfortable holding them. You two should be fine, right? If you are fine, let's go to bed. Yeah, both were responded. Good night, brothers Sehengren, good night, Lin Sehengren. The second half of the night passed faster than expected. The three little ones also slept soundly. But there was one thing Lin Sehengren didn't know, that is, Han Wenwen and Xiao Heqing were going to find Lily to hold a small sister meeting tomorrow. The topic was naturally about Lin Sehengren. Chapter 261. The small family takes shape. The sun rose the next day. The sunlight illuminated the entire forest and mountain with an extremely green color. The drizzle of the previous 2 days seemed to have given life to all the green plants, making the entire mountain very energetic. Many small animals also got up early and lay on the leaves to absorb dew. At around 9 o'clock in the morning, Lin Sehengren was looking at the ceiling in the room. He had woken up, but Han Wenwen and Xiao Heqing in his arms were still immersed in a beautiful dream. The little fox had slept with Lin Sehengren in the rental house twice in total. But just that time, she developed the habit of sleeping with Lin Sehengren's thighs clamped. Xiao Heqing's sleeping posture was honest. She lay down the same way last night in the morning, but her hands subconsciously reached into Lin Sehengren's clothes, touching the muscles on Lin Sehengren's belly. It seemed that the touch was very good. Lin Sehengren sighed that it was fine to sleep with these two little girls in his arms, but it was inconvenient to move. And these two were just pretending to sleep. With a long sigh, he closed his eyes again and continued to take a nap. Just as Lin Sehengren thought, the two besties were indeed pretending to sleep. They woke up together when Lin Sehengren woke up and yawned half an hour ago. They opened their eyes briefly. But they realized that they were being held by Lin Sehengren, and no one would wake up from their sleep. After all, once they woke up, with Lin Sehengren's personality, he would definitely say, "Are you awake? If you are awake, go back to your own bed. I am about to be squeezed to death by you two," because he said so last time in the small town hotel. So Xiao Heqing and the little fox learned their lesson this time. They pretended to sleep. As long as they were not awake, the chance that Lin Sehengren would take the initiative to wake them up was not high. In this way, they could be held by him all the time. The little fox, pretending to sleep, closed her eyes tightly and gently rubbed Lin Sehengren's jaw with her forehead. She thought that it was really comfortable in Brother Sehengren's arms. He had a good figure and there was a smell that belonged to Brother Sehengren. It was just like holding a huge plush toy. It felt like she could sleep here forever. Little He Qing's face was slightly red, and her inner thoughts were soft and tender. Lin Sehengren's body is so warm. He didn't hug me much after we made love last night. It's so enjoyable to lie in his arms today. Her little hand moved gently on Lin Sehengren's belly. Lin Sehengren's abdominal muscles are so sexy. When I saw his figure in the hotel yesterday afternoon, my heart really beat so fast. How could there be such a good figure and so handsome boy in the world? I didn't want to get up and wanted to be hugged by him like this all the time. Lin Sehengren, who originally wanted to take a nap, was curious about these two guys' little tricks. They pretended to sleep well. One rubbed his face and the other touched his belly. Lin Sehengren deliberately put both hands into their shirts and placed them on their delicate waists. He gently stroked them a few times. Little He Qing and little fox were suddenly startled. They made a little sound but soon reacted and kept silent. They blushed and closed their eyes. At least they were honest. At this moment, in the triple bedroom outside, Zhang Zuli, who had a good sleep, turned over. She slowly opened her eyes, looked at the familiar ceiling of the hotel, yawned, and felt extremely comfortable. She stretched her arms on the bed. Then she sat up, her eyes hazy. Go to the bathroom. She went to the bathroom in slippers, sat down to relieve herself, and then flushed. Her consciousness was not fully restored until she returned to her own bed in the triple room. Jiang Zuli's eyes changed. She looked down at her short-sleeved shirt and skirt and said to herself, why am I wearing this kind of clothes to sleep? Didn't I change into pajamas last night? Why? The dormant brain finally turned, and the memories of the utility room last night poured into her mind bit by bit. Jiang Zuli's expression changed from hazy to calm, and then from calm to shy overload. After remembering everything, she buried her head in the pillow. Last night, I was with Zhengren. Memories flashed. Jiang Zuli pursed her lips happily. I did that with Zhengren, and Zhengren gave me, that's why I didn't change my pajamas. After all, I was completely unable to walk after being tortured by him, and he carried me back. The various memories that are not suitable for children made Jiang Zuli's face red for a long time. She knew that she was finally no longer a girl, but a woman. She slightly peeked out from the pillow and looked to the side, but unexpectedly found that He Qing and Han Wenwen's beds were empty. There was no one on them, and the bedding was empty. Jiang Zuli was puzzled. Huh? Where are they? Why aren't they in bed? She got up to make sure that no one was there, and looked at Lin Zhengren's closed room. Jiang Zuli put on slippers and got out of bed. She subconsciously asked in a low voice, and was afraid of disturbing Lin Zhengren's sleep, Zhengren? Are you in the room? He Qing and Han Wenwen are gone. Zhengren? Are you up? The word come was not uttered. When she opened the door, she saw Lin Zhengren sleeping with He Qing and Han Wenwen in his arms on the bed. And the two women's faces were red. Jiang Zuli's expression was dull, her mouth was open in embarrassment and jealousy, and her little canine teeth were trembling with her mouth. She clenched her fists and shouted, Ah! Zhengren! What are you doing? What did you do last night? The shout was deafening. He Qing, who was pretending to be asleep, was frightened and sat up from the bed. As for Han Wenwen, she did not get up, and buried her head even harder in Lin Zhengren's arms. Little He Qing looked at Jiang Zuli, who was angry and jealous, shyly, and waved her hands. Lily, listen to my explanation. Wenwen and I didn't. Jiang Zuli looked at Han Wenwen, who was still lying in Lin Zhengren's arms, and said jealously, Han Wenwen, why don't you get up from Zhengren's arms? By the way, why are you in Zhengren's arms? Han Wenwen's face was full of pity, and there was sweat on her forehead. She thought that she hadn't lied down enough. In the end, Lin Zhengren hit Han Wenwen on the head and whispered, Wenwen, get up, don't pretend to sleep. She was hide and screamed, thinking that brother Zhengren knew it. The four finally got up in the morning. Although the three little ones still have doubts about certain things about each other, it is unknown how long it will take to sort out everything. So Lin Zhengren took the initiative to let the three of them focus on their business first, and talk about other things during the picnic. The Bento family, who was in charge, stood in front of the three people with his arms folded across his chest. The three families sat on the same bed, close to each other. Each of them was well behaved. Lin Zhengren, I know you three still have various questions, but don't ask them yet. Pack up and let's go for a picnic today. We will try to set up the grill before 2 o'clock in the afternoon and set up the tent in the afternoon. The three girls looked at each other out of the corner of their eyes. They did have questions and their expressions were different, but Lin Zhengren had spoken. No matter how curious they were, they didn't dare to talk about anything else, and could only talk about the topic mentioned by Lin Zhengren. Xiao Heqing raised her hand. Lin Zhengren, we didn't bring a grill on this trip, did we? I only brought some bread, fruit and so on. Lin Zhengren, it doesn't matter. When I was looking at the travel brochure last night, I found that you can rent a grill here. Any problem that can be solved with money is not a problem. Han Wenwen also raised her hand. What's the matter with the tent? Are we going to spend the night in the mountains tonight? Lin Zhengren nodded. Yes, because there are several places to visit. If we come back to the hotel at night, it will take a lot of time to set up and dismantle the tent, so we will stay in the mountains tonight. Although Lin Zhengren could finish these things quickly if he wanted, the enjoyment of traveling is a process. It would be boring to finish everything as quickly as possible. Besides, sleeping in the mountains is also an experience. I think Lily should have never slept in the mountains, right? Jiang Zuli heard her name being called and raised her hand to speak. Well, I haven't slept in the mountains. What about you two? He asked. Han Wenwen and Xiao Heqing looked at each other and said in unison, we don't have one either. Lin Zhengren smiled. That's perfect. Since we're traveling, Let's experience something we haven't experienced before. Let me tell you the plan again. We'll arrive at the first destination before 2 o'clock to have a barbecue. In the afternoon, each of you will set up your own tent. I'll help you if you don't mess it up. That's it. The three of them immediately responded, okay, but they soon realized that each of them should set up their own tent? Does that mean Lin Sehengren will still sleep alone tonight? Chapter 262 Lily's personality change. The four of them changed their clothes in the room. Lin Sehengren's clothes are quite simple, and he always changes the same few sets. Although there are not many combinations, these are all carefully selected for Lin Sehengren by various girls, so each set looks like it was custom made. Today, the little fox is wearing a white three-quarter skirt with black and white checkered long sleeves, paired with white shoes, and her long hair is draped over her shoulders and held up with her hands. It is scattered behind her, with a foxy look on her face. As a good girlfriend, He Qing is also wearing white today, with white shoes, a white short skirt and a blue and white short sleeve. After standing up, a pair of snow-white long legs raise the whole outfit to a higher level, and the swaying ponytail is exactly the image of first love in the hearts of all boys. Lily looks like a beautiful tsundere no matter what, after all, when she swings her golden devil ponytails. No matter what clothes she wears, coupled with her playful eyes and small tiger teeth, everyone can guess the girl's personality. Each of the four people carried a large school bag. Lin Sehengren said, I asked if there is a parking area at the picnic area, but you have to walk for a while after parking. With Linda as the vanguard, they drove towards the mountain. There are 3 places to visit in Linchin this time. They are a large grassland on the mountainside, which is said to have beautiful scenery. There is a clear stream further up, and finally a place on the top of the mountain where you can see meteors. As for the hot springs, plans are not as fast as changes. Lin Sehengren has already spent money to change the time. I plan to come back with the 3 little girls to soak after playing on the mountain. On the way to the mountain, the 3 little girls were silent and just stared blankly. Zhang Zuli seemed to be looking out the window, He Qing was well behaved, and Han Wenwen was holding He Qing's arm. But this time, they didn't speak, not because of embarrassment, but because the 3 little ones did have inner dramas. For example, Zhang Zuli's playful eyes stared at Lin Sehengren's handsome and strong back while climbing the mountain. She blushed shyly. Since waking up this morning, the scene in the utility room last night has been lingering in her mind. She gently covered her butt without being noticed. She had searched a lot of information on the internet before. Logically, if it was the first time, shouldn't it hurt? But why didn't it hurt at all when she woke up this morning? And her body became lighter and she walked briskly. What's going on? She felt so relaxed and comfortable. It was not as exaggerated as what was said on the internet. No wonder everyone said that the internet was a lie. I was a little scared last night. Sehengren also said that it might hurt me. Isn't it nothing? If I had known earlier, I would have been more intimate with Sehengren. It was really exciting last night. I didn't let Sehengren hold my hand enough. I want to do it a few more times. Zhang Zuli, who was daydreaming, held her golden ponytail with her hands, and was visibly shy and happy. And little He Qing also stared at Lin Sehengren's back obediently, silently pursing her lips and not saying a word. Because Lin Sehengren was so gentle to her yesterday afternoon. So He Qing was not afraid at all, so she did not think much about whether she would be tired today. She was just a little curious, looking at the passers-by around curiously. Curious, have all the girls in the world who have boyfriends or are married done that kind of thing? Including the female teachers in school and some girls and adults who look very serious on weekdays. It turns out that everyone has done that kind of thing with their boyfriends behind their backs. They will be done by their boyfriends. If you think about it this way, it feels like everyone in the world is good at that. This world is a huge pornographic world. Among the 3 little ones, only the little fox did not think so much. She just looked at Lin Sehengren from behind and licked her lips. There was only one thought in her mind. So many things happened last night, so I didn't get to eat Brother Sehengren. Now I'm so greedy. It's too uncomfortable to have delicious food in front of you, but not be able to eat it. You 3 are very quiet today, Lin Sehengren suddenly spoke in front of the car. The 3 little guys were stunned for a moment, and immediately looked up at him shyly. Lin Sehengren looked at the 3 people through the rearview mirror. Why are you looking at me? Am I wrong? We have been climbing the mountain road for such a long time, and it seems that you 3 have not said a word since you set out. Zhang Zuli stammered. That's right, Didn't you tell us not to chat this morning? You said we can talk when we get to the picnic place, eh? She looked away. How dare we disobey you? Just don't talk. Xiao He Qing and Han Wenwen nodded. Lin Zhengren was impressed that Lily has become so obedient today. It's better to be quiet, save your energy. We still have to walk a distance later. After stopping the car and carrying their own luggage, after a long journey for a while, they finally arrived at the prairie area of Lingshan. This place can be considered to be deliberately cultivated by the developers. There is a large area without a single tree, all grass and flowers. Due to the high terrain, you can also overlook the mountains and the town below the mountain at a glance. It makes people feel relaxed and happy. When Zhang Zuli saw it for the first time, she couldn't help but exclaimed, "Wow! What a beautiful place. So many colorful flowers." He Qing and Han Wenwen also opened their eyes wide. Han Wenwen, this place is really well done. It's worth coming here. He Qing, it's true. There are so many flowers here and they smell so good. Lin Zhengren looked at the vast grassland. Although there were other tourists picnicking here, the place was so large that they didn't affect each other, but added some lively atmosphere. Lin Zhengren said in short, "It's really a good place. The three of you choose a place to put down your luggage, and let's get the barbecue grill first." The three responded in unison. Zhang Zuli has been on the mountain for 3 days. For the first time, she grinned happily, like a child. Stepping through the green grass, she saw a solitary wildflower about 1 meter tall. Bending down to check, "So beautiful," she said to a few people, "Let's live next to this flower. Keep it company." No one refused, and everyone began to spread blankets and clean up the messy food and things. Lin Zhengren also put some big things on the ground, especially the tent. After it was almost done, Zhang Zuli suddenly came to Lin Zhengren and pulled her clothes with her hands. I have never seen Zhang Zuli so light-footed in my life. Zhengren. Lin Zhengren looked at Lily, wondering why she looked a bit like He Qing. "What's wrong?" Zhang Zuli asked in a low voice. "Can we talk about what happened in the morning now? The blankets and other things are ready." "Sure, can we talk now?" he answered without thinking. "Well, we could actually do it when we first came here." Before he finished speaking, he saw Zhang Zuli clenching her fists, and suddenly she closed her eyes and asked loudly with jealousy, "What happened in the morning?" "Stinky Zhengren, stupid Zhengren. Why did you sleep with He Qing and Han Wenwen last night?" Lin Zhengren's forehead was sweaty. "Did your personality change so quickly?" Zhang Zuli stared at Lin Zhengren with strong jealousy. "What do you think?" She hit Lin Zhengren with her little fists like a meteor shower. "I hate you so much. I hate you so much. You bully me every day." He Qing and Han Wenwen sighed on the side that Lily dared to say anything about Lin Zhengren. They didn't dare. Lin Zhengren felt Lily's fist, which didn't hurt him at all. "You hit me again." Lily stopped her fist at the speed of light, and said angrily, "I won't hit you." He Qing and Han Wenwen. Chapter 263 3 Women, 1 Drama. Lin Zhengren turned around and fiddled with the barbecue skewers, took out all the ingredients, and explained, "How could I bully you? I saw you sleeping so soundly last night, so I couldn't call you. Otherwise, I would have held you to sleep together. Do you think I didn't want to hold you?" Zhang Zuli was speechless and didn't know what to say. She turned her head and snorted. "What are you talking about?" When Lin Zhengren took out a marinade, he took the time to touch her head with his hand. Okay, if you have nothing to do, help me get 2 bottles of water." Then he took his hand back and continued to make a fuss for lunch. Zhang Zuli's blushing face quickly disappeared, and she muttered unhappily, just touching the head twice, "You are coaxing a child." But after that, she still obediently helped Lin Zhengren get 2 bottles of water. "Here you go." She looked at Han Wenwen again, and saw that she was smiling like a fox and waving her hand. The 3 little ones sat together again. Han Wenwen cut to the chase, simply and directly. "The reason why I was in bed last night was because I like Brother Zhengren." Without even keeping silent, Zhang Zuli pointed at Han Wenwen proudly, as if she had expected it. "Huh. I knew that you, a fox, would like Zhengren. I said I wouldn't guess wrong." He Qing was surprised, and Han Wenwen was even more surprised. She blinked and blushed in confusion. "You knew?" He Qing asked in a low voice. "Lily, when did you know?" "Last night." "Didn't Han Wenwen call Zhengren Brother Zhengren last night?" Such an intimate name. He Qing and Han Wenwen. Zhang Zuli hurriedly said in a dilemma, "Of course, I guessed it before." He Qing, "Didn't I tell you once that Han Wenwen would like Lin Zhengren? I have never changed this idea. I always thought that this fox must like Zhengren. He Qing was confused. You mentioned this some time ago, but you just said you doubted it at the time, and we didn't talk about this issue again after that. I thought you had forgotten it. Zhang Zuli sighed and was very silent. He Qing, you are also a girl. Do you think that as a girlfriend, you can easily forget that someone likes your boyfriend? I just don't mention it. Especially recently, there are a lot of things going on, and I haven't had time to investigate in depth. In my heart, I assume that Han Wenwen likes Zhengren. After all, the focus of this period of time is who will take Zhengren's virginity. This matter is much more important than who likes Zhengren. Because there are many people who like Zhengren, from childhood to adulthood, there are at least 1,000, but Zhengren's first time is not much. He Qing did not deny what Lily said. That's right, no one will forget such a thing. Han Wenwen smiled helplessly and tilted her head. I didn't expect Lily to have discovered it a long time ago. Zhang Zuli crossed her arms. Her smart brain finally came in handy today, although it was a little late, looking at her, because Han Wenwen is always jealous of Zhengren, right? We are together all day long, and the situation is not the first or second time. Although you have a reason every time, it will always be exposed after a long time, and I remember very clearly that once when Zhengren and I were alone, he even subconsciously called you Wenwen, and I paid some attention to you at that time. He Qing, is that so? That means you knew it because Wenwen was jealous and Zhengren called the wrong name. Zhang Zuli shook her head. Not entirely. In fact, these are all small details. The most crucial point is, she looked jealously at Lin Zhengren who was making a barbecue on the side. Zhengren treats Han Wenwen in a special way, right? He treats Han Wenwen like a girlfriend on weekdays, which is the most suspicious. He Qing really didn't know. Is that so? Zhang Zuli looked at He Qing in surprise. Of course. Didn't you find that Zhengren treated the three of us very fairly? Including eating, going out to play, tutoring. Everything is divided into 3 equal parts. Even this trip, he brought Han Wenwen along. Little He Qing blinked innocently, her voice getting smaller and smaller, because her doubts were completely different from Zhang Zuli's. She scratched her head. Is it normal to be fair? There's nothing wrong with taking Wenwen out to play, right? Zhang Zuli opened her mouth speechlessly. He Qing, you are so generous. No way. I'm also keeping an eye on Lin Zhengren. Okay, then how can you say that it's normal to be fair? Zhengren treats us well because we are his girlfriends. Han Wenwen is supposed to be just your good friend. It stands to reason that many things can't be divided into 3 equal parts. After all, I have many good friends that Zhengren has met. In addition to Han Wenwen, you also have other female friends. Why doesn't Zhengren treat them so well? But he is special to Han Wenwen. Little He Qing finally understood and was stunned. Yet, it's not normal when you say that. Han Wenwen smiled and said nothing, thinking to herself that it was true. Brother Zhengren usually divided her into 3 equal parts because he was afraid that she would get jealous. Zhang Zuli closed her eyes like a famous detective. So in summary, I have such an illusion about many things, that is, the 3 of us are Zhengren's girlfriend. I think He Qing, you didn't realize that Wenwen likes Zhengren. You should have assumed that Wenwen is already a member of the family. Otherwise, let me ask you, she asked He Qing seriously, have you really thought about it before? After you and I marry Zhengren after graduation, what will happen if Han Wenwen doesn't live with us? Have you ever thought about separating Han Wenwen? He Qing covered her mouth and opened her eyes wide. She really hadn't thought about this question. It seems that the future picture I imagined in my mind is really not like that. We are all together like we are now, and when one is in it, although Zhang Zuli didn't want to admit it, she also let out a long sigh. I also discovered it before. When imagining the future, I assumed that there's this fox in the family. The 3 of us have known each other for too long. Han Wenwen clasped her hands in front of her and smiled. Thank you Zhao Qiking and Lily for thinking of me. So Han Wenwen is also Zhengren's girlfriend now? Otherwise, you couldn't hold her to sleep last night, right? Han Wenwen nodded. Yeah. Zhang Zuli's jealous eyes suddenly narrowed, and she added another. She was like an eagle detecting criminals. Han Wenwen, have you sneaked away a lot? Han Wenwen smiled awkwardly, and she waved her hands casually. No, it's the same for everyone. The 3 of them were suddenly silent for a moment. Little He Qing blushed when she remembered the intimacy yesterday afternoon. Zhang Zuli was shy when she remembered the intimacy last night, and Han Wenwen recalled the memory of cheating. It's really the same for everyone. Everyone has their own secrets. So they stopped discussing this topic. Little He Qing held up a finger. By the way, Let's talk about business. Wenwen told me something very important last night. We plan to discuss it with you today. It's very important. What's the important thing? Zhang Zuli was puzzled. He Qing looked at Lin Suhengren next to her and covered her mouth. Go talk somewhere else. Don't let Lin Suhengren hear it. Is there anything else he can't know? Zhang Zuli was even more puzzled. That's not what I mean. You will understand later. The three little ones chattered about something. Lin Suhengren glanced at the three of them and wondered what they were doing secretly. It was not like he could not hear them. It was true that three women made a scene. They had not played much these days, but just talked with each other. After a while, the three girls looked at Lin Suhengren together. Han Wenwen smiled and said, Brothers Suhengren, Xiao Qing and Lily will go to the cart to get some food. This is not enough. Lin Suhengren did not stop them. Go ahead, He Qing, we will be back soon. Zhang Zuli, 2 minutes. The three girls looked at each other and ran towards the parking area together. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264 Girlfriend Plan. The three little ones hid behind the car and looked at Lin Suhengren from a distance. They confirmed that Lin Suhengren did not follow them. Zhang Zuli's face was puzzled. What is going on? We have to hide it from Suhengren. Little He Qing looked at Han Wenwen, and she said helplessly in a sweet voice, This is about Lin Suhengren. Wenwen told me last night. I was surprised and thought we should discuss it. Surprised? Don't keep me in suspense. Tell me what's going on. Han Wenwen approached Zhang Zuli and covered her mouth and whispered something in her ear. Zhang Zuli's expressionless face suddenly became shocked. Duo Xiao. 7. Han Wenwen covered her mouth and shushed with her other hand in front of her lips. SHH. Keep it down. Brother Suhengren heard it. Little He Qing also looked at the distance again in fear. Keep it down, Lily. If Lin Suhengren hears it, it's over. He will hit the three of us on the head. Zhang Zuli looked at Han Wenwen in shame and pointed at her hand covering her mouth. It means that she will not speak loudly anymore. Han Wenwen reminded again, keep your voice down, then she took it away. Zhang Zuli whispered, Han Wenwen, I'm really not used to you calling Suhengren Brother Suhengren all the time. It looks so disgusting. The little fox smiled perfunctorily. Then Zhang Zuli clenched her fist and said, but what's the matter with 7? When did it happen? That idiot Suhengren must have gone crazy. Which good man has 7 girlfriends? Han Wenwen poked her chin with her finger. Brother Suhengren said this is just an upper limit, not the final number. He said that there will be at most 7, and it will not exceed this number. Zhang Zuli immediately blushed and retorted, that's not okay. No, no. Too many. How can he be so fickle? And he said 7, so it may really be 7 in the future. She breathed a sigh of relief and crossed her arms. I understand why you two called me here. Do you want to unite to protest Suhengren? He Qing and Han Wenwen were speechless. Little He Qing said obediently, protest Suhengren? I dare not, she refused decisively. Han Wenwen also quickly shook her head, I'm not that bold. I've never thought of talking back to Brother Suhengren in my life, and I won't do such a thing. The two asked Zhang Zuli in unison, Lily, do you want to protest against Suhengren? Zhang Zuli had sweat on her forehead and stammered, do you think I have great ability? Protesting others is fine, but that's Suhengren. Who dares to talk back to that big idiot? She asked back, but since no one wants to protest, how do you plan to deal with this matter? 7 are too many, Xiao Qing suggested. If we can't do it hard, we can try soft. Wenwen and I have this plan. After eating barbecue at noon, don't we all have nothing to do in the afternoon? The three of us will date Lin Suhengren in turn, and the date time for each person cannot exceed 3 hours. Han Wenwen continued, during the date, no one else should disturb you. For example, it's Lily's turn to date Brother Suhengren now, so Xiao Qing and I will cover for you and take the initiative to avoid you and won't disturb you, but this date is not for doing those lovey-dovey things. The little fox held up a finger and said, there is only one goal, to find a way to make Brother Suhengren reduce the number of his girlfriends. Even if it is reduced from 7 to 6, it will be considered a success. If anyone can succeed, then... Little He Qing raised her hand, reward her with a big meal, and the other two will treat them. Zhang Zuli was puzzled, a reward meal? Why doesn't it sound very exciting? Little He Qing blinked in confusion. It's quite exciting. Then what does Lily want as a reward? Han Wenwen also thought it was good. Jiang Zuli looked at the two foodies and waved her hands. Forget it, the reward is not important, the most important thing is the plan itself. I agree. Han Wenwen tilted her head and clapped her hands. Okay, then let's give this plan a name. How about calling it the barbecue plan? He Qing and Jiang Zuli looked at Han Wenwen and asked at the same time, barbecue plan? Does this have anything to do with what we are talking about? Han Wenwen covered her stomach innocently and said, it doesn't matter, I'm just hungry. Brother Zhengren is grilling something now. The things he grills are delicious. Aren't you too hungry? The two were speechless. Little He Qing said, let's keep it simple and direct. Why not call it the girlfriend joint plan? This is the first time we three have joined forces. We must win. The three little ones put their hands together to officially join forces. Jiang Zuli reminded, but since we've said that we won't be affectionate with each other in this plan, then no one is allowed to cheat. If anyone does anything more than holding hands or hugging with Zhengren during the date, they will have to do the ice bucket challenge when they return to the hotel. 3 times, the three of them exchanged glances and were very determined to say, okay, it's a deal. Han Wenwen, then who will be the first to date Brother Zhengren? Little He Qing, let's play rock, paper, scissors. The winner will be first. The three girls fought fiercely, and the final winner was Jiang Zuli. He Qing and Han Wenwen clenched their fists together. Come on, Jiang Zuli's forehead was sweaty. The excitement just now was gone. Why does it feel so difficult to change Zhengren's mind? A few minutes later, while Lin Zhengren was barbecuing, he saw the 3 silly girls coming back from the parking area. They actually brought some food in their hands. You 3 are back, the 3 girls responded and sat on the blanket again. Jiang Zuli, I'm back. He Qing, I'm back. Little Fox, ow. Lin Zhengren turned the skewers in his hand, and the grill was emitting the sizzling aroma of barbecue. I just started grilling, I have to wait a little longer. The 3 girls were so greedy for the barbecue on the grill. They took the initiative to sit next to Lin Zhengren and help him. Soon the first batch of barbecue came out of the oven. The 3 girls naturally fed the first bite to Lin Zhengren first, and then they tasted it happily one by one. Lin Zhengren, who is proficient in everything, is not an ordinary person even when grilling. After the 3 girls finished eating, they opened their eyes wide and said that they had never eaten such delicious barbecue in their lives. The taste lingered in their mouths, the barbecue was tender and juicy, and the aroma was overflowing. If Lin Zhengren went to set up a stall, it is estimated that he would be able to sell it hot and make a lot of money. They finished this delicious barbecue with laughter and chat. When it was almost over, Little He Qing and Han Wenwen looked at Jiang Zuli. The look in her eyes said, it's time to start planning. Come on, Lily, you'll win. Jiang Zuli chewed the food in her mouth, a little embarrassed, but still nodded. I will try my best. So Jiang Zuli looked at Lin Zhengren, who had finished eating and washing his hands, and finished the last bite of meat on the skewers. She stood up and walked over. Zhengren, I want to go to the bathroom. Can you accompany me? Lin Zhengren looked at Jiang Zuli, who was blushing and embarrassed. This girl was born not to lie. He pointed to the bathroom next to the parking area. Isn't it there? Yes, then you can accompany me. She looked elsewhere and didn't dare to look directly at Lin Zhengren. Lin Zhengren smiled and said, okay, I'll go with you after washing my hands. Thank you. Xiao Heqing and Han Wenwen saw that Lily's plan was about to start. Although they were a little jealous, they adhered to the matters they had discussed and did not disturb them. Continue to eat the remaining barbecue. Such delicious food, the 2 besties can eat it all day. Chapter 265 I confess everything. After washing his hands, Lin Zhengren led Jiang Zuli to the public restroom. Jiang Zuli walked slowly beside him with her hands behind her back, thinking about how to start the conversation. Although she said 7? No, very fluently when the 3 girls were discussing just now, she trembled when it came to the actual situation. But she had to start the conversation no matter how she spoke. What if there were 7? The ultimate playboy. The 2 stopped in front of the restroom. Lin Zhengren looked at Jiang Zuli, who was still thinking deeply. We're here with the restroom, why don't you go in? Lin Zhengren was curious. Jiang Zuli responded, restroom? Oh. I'll go right away. After that, she trotted into the girls' restroom and turned back to say, wait for me a few minutes, Zhengren. She went to the bathroom for a while. When she came out, she saw a girl in a miniskirt chatting up Lin Zhengren. Handsome guy, can you give me your contact information? You are so handsome." Zhang Zuli was frightened, and hurried over and clenched her fists. "He has a girlfriend. Why add contact information?" No. Lin's Hengren looked at Zhang Zuli's anxious look and nodded. "Sorry, I do have a girlfriend." The girls who approached her were a little embarrassed and had to leave with regret. Sorry. Lin's Hengren looked at Lily again. "Are you done?" Zhang Zuli gritted her teeth and said, "Why are you always so popular with girls? How many times have you been since you were a child? Can you blame me? It's not me who approached them." She became more anxious when she heard this. "You still want to approach them? 3 girls are not enough." After saying that, she saw Lin Hengren looking at her curiously, and said shyly, "I mean, normal boys only have 1 girlfriend. You are already very fickle. That's enough. Be restrained." "Yeah, I know." Zhang Zuli looked at Lin Hengren with contempt, wondering if this guy really knew. "I didn't see it at all." "Lin Hengren, let's go back. Let's have a rest after eating." Zhang Zuli thought that they could date for 3 hours. Even if they failed and couldn't do that kind of intimate thing, they could always hold hands and hug each other, so she put her hands behind her back again. "Why are you in such a hurry?" "I just ate too much barbecue. I want to eat a full meal and walk to digest the food. Can you accompany me for a walk? Isn't there a small stream up here? Accompany me to take a look." Lin Hengren turned around and left without saying a word. After walking a few steps, he saw that Zhang Zuli didn't catch up. "Then let's go. What are you daydreaming about?" Zhang Zuli followed closely. "Wait for me." The two walked up along the campsite. The mountain forest after the rain was indeed fresh and full of green at a glance. Zhang Zuli's steps were light, and her 2 ponytails bounced along with her steps up the mountain. Like a roe deer. Lin Hengren was curious. "Did you feel any pain when you got up this morning?" Hearing this, Lily immediately understood what he meant. She covered her butt with her little hands and shook her head in shame. "No, it doesn't hurt. On the contrary, I feel relaxed. I am in a better state than usual. I don't know what's going on." Lin Hengren knew that this should be the effect of energy. It seems that every time after doing those things, the energy value will restore the physical strength of these 3 little girls. It also has the effect of whitening and nourishing the skin. Zhang Zuli saw that he stopped talking and muttered softly, "You carried me back to the hotel last night, right? I dreamed of you at night." "What did you dream about me?" she muttered inexplicably. Even Lin Hengren didn't hear it clearly, which showed that she didn't take it seriously at all. "What?" Zhang Zuli lowered her head and said in shame, "What dream?" Lin Hengren was surprised and smiled. "Really? Wet dream can also be considered a good dream." Lily couldn't complain, but she did think it was a good dream. Finally, we came to the stream upstream. There were not many tourists here. Because the sign next to it said that picnics were prohibited, people who came here just looked at it and didn't hang around. In addition, the stream was really just a stream, a clear stream flowing down the mountain, clean and beautiful but without any special features. Zhang Zuli bit her lip. "I saw a program interview before, saying that the first experience of men and women is very important to the relationship between lovers. I felt very good last night. How about you, Zhengren? How do you feel?" Lin Hengren looked at this arrogant girl curiously. Zhang Zuli didn't look at him but was embarrassed by his stare, so she turned her head away. "Why are you staring at me all the time?" "What do you mean?" "Nothing. I felt very good last night, and Lily tasted better than I thought." She snorted softly, but she was happy in her heart. Lin Hengren looked around and suddenly saw an interesting place. After seeing this place, "Let's go to other places." "Oh." The two walked to the vicinity of a cliff again, and Lin Hengren sat on the grass, leaning against a tree. "It's nice here," he asked. "You've been talking about last night since the beginning. What's wrong? Don't you think it's enough?" She blushed. "Of course. If it's not enough, I won't talk about it." "It's because it's enough." She couldn't continue. "Can't forget." Lin Hengren knew that there was no one around, and he could hear the sounds around him very clearly. Patting himself in front of him, "Sit here." Zhang Zuli was stunned, and after a moment of hesitation, she sat obediently on Lin Hengren's lap. Lin Hengren reminded, "Not facing me, but with your back to me." "How can you see the scenery if you face me?" "Ah." Oh, she didn't know what Lin Hengren was going to do. But the scenery was not as good as Hengren's. But she had to sit in his arms with her back to him and lean on him. The breeze blew, shaking their hair, and Zhang Zuli took the initiative to hold Lin Hengren's hand. "Lin Hengren, I didn't have time to hug you for a while in that environment last night. Now let's make up for the hug last night." You hugged me for a while, it's not that you didn't hug me. No need to compensate. Lin Zhengren looked down at her. Jiang Zuli's watery eyes trembled. She understood what Lin Zhengren meant, but she had agreed with He Qing and Wenwen not to do anything more than hugging. Otherwise, she would be poured with an ice bucket. But, just as she was about to take the initiative to kiss him, Lin Zhengren interrupted and asked, "What do you want to talk to me about alone?" She was curious. Did Zhengren know? No way. Nothing, I just asked you to accompany me for a walk. Why didn't I say it directly? Why did I lie subconsciously? Are you sure? He frowned and said, "Learn from me, Jiang Zuli is a fool." Why would I say such a thing? But she stared at Lin Zhengren's serious eyes, biting her lips in fear and shame and echoing, "Jiang Zuli is a fool." Lin Zhengren, speak louder, who can hear you if your voice is so low? Jiang Zuli blushed and lowered her head. Jiang Zuli is a fool. Lin Zhengren, keep talking. Jiang Zuli is a puppy. Jiang Zuli was ashamed. I am a puppy. She was so aggrieved that she wanted to cry but had no tears. I was wrong, Zhengren. It's not enough that I don't lie. I confess everything. Jiang Zuli had to sell out her good sisters in less than 3 sentences. She told Lin Zhengren clearly what they had just discussed. You say I don't have a sense of contract? This is Zhengren, what can I do? Lin Zhengren knew that she was not lying this time, and deliberately said, so that's how it is? Yeah, Lin Zhengren asked back, so Lily thinks 7 are too many. Jiang Zuli really didn't dare to do it. Zhengren was too scary. I didn't say that, it's just, it's a little bit more, just a little bit. But Zhengren, do you really want to find 7? Lin Zhengren replied, didn't Wenwen tell you? 7 is just an upper limit. It doesn't mean that I will definitely find 7, but it will definitely not exceed 7, okay? Anyway, you have been fickle for a long time, but out of 7 days a week, you'd better give yourself 1 day to rest, right? 6 is not a small number. If you really don't want to rest in a week, then can't I accompany you for 2 days a week? Lin Zhengren couldn't help laughing. I can consider it. She smiled and wanted to kiss Lin Zhengren to stop him from getting angry, but Lin Zhengren asked, didn't you make a bet with them that you can't get intimate? Otherwise, you'll be poured an ice bucket. Jiang Zuli was helpless. What can I do? I just lied. Lin Zhengren seemed a little angry. I have to apologize, right? Besides, we're going to take a hot spring bath when we get back, so let's get it. She took the initiative to kiss Lin Zhengren's lips. Don't be angry, Zhengren, don't do it again, okay? The two kissed slowly, and Jiang Zuli turned around and sat on his lap. Get intimate with him. As they kissed, their hands were not honest, but Lin Zhengren reminded them, Lily, this is a tourist area, and someone may come later, then I'll go to your tent to find you secretly tonight. Yeah, Lin Zhengren hugged Jiang Zuli and kissed her again. Chapter 266, Powerful Alliance. After 3 hours of kissing and looking at the scenery, Jiang Zuli and Lin Zhengren came back from the mountain. He Qing and Han Wenwen, the two best friends, were sitting on a blanket and eating snacks when they saw the two coming down the mountain. They hurried to say hello. Little He Qing, Lin Zhengren, Lily, you are back. Han Wenwen smiled and waved. Jiang Zuli put her hands behind her back and lowered her head with a red face full of embarrassment. She felt guilty about the organization and the trust of her sisters, but there was nothing she could do. Lin Zhengren responded, I'm back. Have you two set up the tent? Han Wenwen groaned, looked back at the mess of brackets on the ground, covered her face with one hand and pretended to be cute, saying, I just did a little bit. Zio kicking and I just put together the brackets and other things according to the instructions, but the rest, little He Qing continued, the rest is not easy to fix. I always feel that the tent cannot be fixed, and the brackets can't be propped up. Lin Zhengren helplessly, let me take a look. He went to tinker with a semi-finished tent for 2 people. Jiang Zuli wanted to follow Lin Zhengren to build a tent, but was forcibly pulled by Han Wenwen, who said with a fake smile, Lily? Where are you going? You must be tired from walking around? Come sit down and have some water and rest. Jiang Zuli smiled awkwardly, actually, I'm not tired. I'll go help Zhengren build a tent. Little He Qing was puzzled and whispered, what are you talking about, Lily? Sit down quickly. Jiang Zuli failed to escape and had to accept the punishment. Okay, the 3 girls sat together and chattered. Lin Zhengren glanced at them and ignored the 3 little guys. At this moment, Jiang Zuli sat there obediently, completely losing the excitement before lunch. He Qing and Han Wenwen saw her like a little chicken, and seemed to have vaguely known the ending. Little He Qing glanced at Lin Sihengren to confirm that he was not looking at this side, and asked, "How is it, Lily? How did you discuss with Lin Sihengren? Did it succeed?" Zhang Zuli grinned, thinking that when she said that 7 would become 6 on the cliff, Sihengren said that he would consider it. Whether this may be considered was a success or not, she was more inclined to think it was a failure. But it was undeniable that when Zhang Ran said this just now, she didn't dare to ask again even if she had the courage of this guy. Zhang Ran was indeed too terrifying. "It's a failure, right?" Little He Qing was disappointed. "Ah. Failed," Zhang Zuli said. "Oh, but it's not that there is no information at all." Sihengren said, "There are at most 7 of them. This is just an upper limit, which does not mean there are really 7. It could mean 6, it could mean 5, or even there are only 3 of us. It is not impossible. So I think," she whispered, "it's okay, not a lot." Han Wenwen blinked her fox eyes. "Didn't I say that at noon? You were turned, Lily? You now have a completely different attitude than before. How can you be turned?" Zhang Zuli pursed her lips. "Oh," she hugged her head and closed her eyes. "This task is too difficult. How can I change Sihengren's mind? You think too highly of me. You let me destroy the world and I have a chance to do it, but changing Sihengren oyster. I really can't do it." Han Wenwen and Little He Qing sighed. Seeing that the two had accepted the reality, Zhang Zuli hugged her knees and muttered shyly, "By the way, I volunteered to accept the ice bucket punishment when we returned to the hotel. I hugged Sihengren and did more than just hug." "I'm sorry, what?" He Qing was shocked and a little jealous. "Didn't we agree not to do intimate things?" Han Wenwen had guessed it a long time ago. When she came just now, she saw that her expression was not right. At this moment, she was jealous and envious and said, "Lily will punish herself 3 times. Zhang Zuli lowered her head and did not refute. "I feel ashamed of the organization. I will punish myself 3 times. After a while, the 3 little ones gathered their strength again, and Han Wenwen played rock paper scissors with He Qing. This time, Little He Qing won. Some things can only be understood by being in the situation. How difficult it is to deal with them. The moment she won, Little He Qing also felt a great pressure. Han Wenwen's eyes were firm. "Come on, Xiao Qingqing. It's up to you." Although Zhang Zuli failed, she was very determined at this moment and said, "Come on, He Qing, if you win, we will treat you to a big meal, and I will give you an extra dessert." Xiao He Qing secretly looked at Lin Sihengren who was packing up the tent, closed her eyes and took a few deep breaths, and said softly, "Okay, I'll do it." She slowly stood up from the blanket, put on her shoes and walked towards Lin Sihengren. At that moment, Han Wenwen and Zhang Zuli's eyes widened. For some reason, the two of them actually saw a female general go to the battlefield alone to die gloriously when facing an unbeatable enemy. Zhang Zuli couldn't help but sigh. What a strong aura. Xiao He Qing held a long spear, with a determination to die in her eyes, and walked in front of the enemy. Sweetly said, "Lin Sihengren, let me help you get the tent." Han Wenwen and Zhang Zuli's filters were broken. Han Wenwen tilted her fox head helplessly. "Can Xiao Qingqing really do it?" Zhang Zuli analyzed seriously. Although He Qing is usually very well behaved in front of Sihengren, maybe there will be a miracle? In desperate situations, the weakest ones are often the key to victory. Lin Sihengren looked at the little He Qing beside him, and it was really the same as what Lily said. The 3 little girls wanted to find him one by one. After Lin Sihengren responded to little He Qing, he turned back to look at Han Wenwen and Zhang Zuli. "Wenwen, Lily, come here." The 2 little ones stood up and walked over. Lin Sihengren said, "I will teach you 3 how to make a tent. Learn well." The 3 nodded seriously. After learning for a while, the 3 of them made rapid progress. After all, the ability to triple their learning ability after signing the contract is not a lie. With the help of the 2 sisters, Xiao He Qing also successfully got the opportunity to be alone with Lin Sihengren. It was Han Wenwen who spoke while fixing the tent. "Brother Sihengren, you've been busy all day. Take a break. Lily and I have almost learned it. Xiao Qingqing, go get some water for Brother Sihengren." Xiao Heqing looked at Han Wenwen and Zhang Zuli's encouraging eyes and nodded. "Okay." Lin Sihengren didn't refuse and went to the blanket with Xiao Heqing to drink some water. Then, I don't know what excuse Xiao Heqing found, but she and Lin Sihengren also walked towards the mountain. Han Wenwen looked at the 2 of them meaningfully, and continued to fix the tent with Lily. It was the familiar stream and the familiar cliff. Xiao Heqing was so obedient, her little hands were tapping in front of her body restrainedly. She didn't say anything, and didn't move. She walked when Lin Sihengren walked, and stopped when Lin Sahengren stopped. Arriving at the cliff and looking at the scenery in the distance, Lin Sahengren inexplicably said, "Learn from me, you are a pig." Little He Qing blinked when she heard it, and immediately said without thinking, "You are a pig." Lin Sahengren looked at her, and little He Qing took a long time to react. She waved her hands in fear and said shyly, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm a pig, I'm a pig." Lin Sahengren thought to himself that He Qing is He Qing and Lily are really different. Touching her head, "What are you apologizing for? I asked you to say it." Little He Qing blushed. He sat under the big tree and was curious. "What do you want to tell me?" Little He Qing stood in front of him with a red face. "I want to say, I can't say it, it's so difficult." Lin Sahengren patted himself in front of him, and little He Qing understood and asked in a low voice, "Can I sit in your arms? Sit on me." After getting Lin Sahengren's approval, she sat obediently in Lin Sahengren's arms. Legs bent. "Lin Sahengren, go ahead." Xiao Heqing made a lot of small movements with her hands on her legs, and her fingers of her left and right hands tapped back and forth, feeling so comfortable in his arms. Finally, she remembered the trust of Wenwen and Lily. She couldn't let them down. Mustering up great courage, she turned back to Lin Sahengren with a firm look and said, "I want to say it," but she lost her temper in less than half a second after looking at his eyes. "I want to say that you can do whatever you want. I'm very good. Whatever you say is what it is." Lin Sahengren touched her head and wanted to laugh. "Do you want to kiss?" Xiao Heqing was shy, and her organizational spirit only resisted for a second in her heart. Yes, their lips slowly kissed each other. Xiao Heqing half turned around and held Lin Sahengren's head with one hand. She enjoyed it quietly, her heartbeat accelerated. She stayed there for another 3 hours, and the plan? She had forgotten it long ago. The only thought was, "Lin Sahengren, I'll go to your tent to find you tonight. I can't sleep in the tent alone." Chapter 267, Congratulations. After hearing this, Lin Sahengren felt that having more girlfriends would mean less intimacy. After all, they should check and balance each other. You can't just accompany one person when traveling. "Okay, come over in the evening." Little He Qing was happy. She was so happy that she forgot everything until Lin Sahengren took her hand and happily went down the mountain. When she saw Lily and Wenwen, He Qing suddenly remembered that she hadn't done anything she was supposed to do, as if she had regained her memory. You should know that at the beginning of the girlfriend joint plan, the first person to propose too much was little He Qing, because Wenwen had known about it for a long time. As a result, Zhang Zuli and He Qing both lost. It was already 6 o'clock in the afternoon when they returned to the picnic site. Although it gets dark very late in summer, the moon is about to come out at this time. In the past few hours, Zhang Zuli and Han Wenwen have already set up the tents for 4 people. The tents for 4 people are opposite each other, that is, the blanket is in the middle, and there are 4 tents next to each other in 4 directions. The structure of a quadrangle. Back at the campsite, Lin Sahengren looked at the neatly arranged tents and praised the 2 guys. "Well done." Wenwen and Lily worked hard. Han Wenwen and Zhang Zuli were very happy to receive the praise. But when the 2 girls looked at He Qing shrank her neck in embarrassment and shyness. She said, "I am also ashamed of the trust of the organization." The 3 girls gathered together for the last time. Little He Qing hugged her calves tightly and buried her face in her knees. As a loser, Zhang Zuli naturally could not comment, but just asked, "You didn't succeed either." Little He Qing hummed, "Well, I didn't even say it, because I have always listened to Lin Sahengren since I was a child. How can I refute his ideas and talk back to him? I can't do such a thing." Zhang Zuli laughed. "It turns out that miracles don't happen casually, but I can understand it." She patted He Qing on the shoulder. Little He Qing raised her head slightly, as if peeking at the 2 sisters. "Also, I broke the rules too. I also hugged Lin Sahengren and did more than that. I will punish myself with a nice bucket when I go back." "I'm sorry." Zhang Zuli was embarrassed and took back her hand but said again, "That's understandable." Han Wenwen looked at the guilty look of little He Qing and Zhang Zuli. This time, the little fox didn't sigh, but picked up a mirror from the side and found a comb, combing the long hair that fell on her shoulders. Not hurriedly. Zhang Zuli and He Qing looked at Han Wenwen. "He Qing, only you." Wenwen. Zhang Zuli saw that Han Wenwen's expression became serious and full of inexplicable confidence. She was very confused. She was confused. She was confused. The fox was not so confident when setting up the tent in the afternoon, so why did it suddenly become like this? "Han Wenwen, are you so confident?" The little fox raised the corner of his mouth, and his charming eyes swept over the two of them, and put down the comb and mirror. It's not that I'm confident, it's just that I'm the only one who has a chance now, so I can only win and not lose. You two just trust me and look at me. He Qing and Li Li looked at each other and inexplicably felt that they had hope again. They said in unison, "Come on, Wenwen, come on, Han Wenwen." Han Wenwen made an okay gesture. "The advantage is mine." She stood up to find Lin Zhengren. Lin Zhengren was drinking water, thinking that he was the last one. Han Wenwen smiled and said, "Brother Zhengren, can we talk alone?" Lin Zhengren drank a bottle of mineral water. "It's getting harder to see anything on the mountain at this time. Then let's not go up the mountain, let's go to the car and talk." With Brother Zhengren, when one can go anywhere, Lin Zhengren did not refuse. Seeing that Lin Zhengren agreed, Han Wenwen turned around and waved to Zhang Zuli and He Qing. "I'll chat with Brother Zhengren, you two can go back to the tent to play for a while, and have dinner together when you come back." He Qing and Zhang Zuli replied from a distance. Lin and Han walked together towards the parking lot in the distance. Fox had a graceful figure, and she walked with an indescribable charm. They were far away from He Qing and Zhang Zuli. Han Wenwen whispered, "I'm sorry to have caused trouble to Brother Zhengren today. I kept tossing Brother Zhengren back and forth." Lin Zhengren looked at the parking lot that was close at hand. "It's okay. After all, we are out to play. I'm not tired." Walking to the side of the car, Han Wenwen stood up straight, tilted her head with a distressed look in her eyes, and stared at her beloved man in a coquettish tone. "It's a lie to say that I'm not tired. It takes a lot of walking, right?" I don't know if the two of them told Brother Zhengren that this time the three of us took turns to chat with Brother Zhengren because there are many girlfriends. Lin Zhengren opened the car door. "I know, Brother Zhengren looks like he has guessed it a long time ago. It's not the first day I've known you three." After getting into the car, the two went to the back seat. Lin Zhengren got on the car first. Han Wenwen took off her shoes and sat on Lin Zhengren's legs with her bare white feet. After closing the car door, she carefully examined Lin Zhengren without saying a word. She came up and lightly touched Lin Zhengren's mouth with her red lips, ignoring the so-called date, biting her lip and said jealously, "I know in my heart that Wenwen will definitely not be able to convince Brother Zhengren. If she could, she would have convinced her a few years ago in junior high school. Why drag it on until now?" Lin Zhengren's words to Han Wenwen were unexpected, but reasonable. "So you just gave up trying to persuade me?" Han Wenwen held one of Lin Zhengren's hands and leaned her face on his chest. "It's not giving up, it's that I didn't intend to persuade you. Brother Zhengren can find as many as he wants. Wenwen is just a little fox you raised. Can a little fox disobey the master's wishes? Just think about it. It's impossible." Lin Zhengren gently stroked her head with his hand. "I can see that you are jealous today. Before we made our relationship public, whenever I treated He Qing and Lily better, you would be jealous. Today you look fine, but I know it's probably because you are pickled in vinegar." Han Wenwen's charming eyes trembled. With a light snort, her voice was sour, and she played with Lin Zhengren's big hand. "Since Brother Zhengren knows, then don't mention it. Wenwen knows how petty she is. I have been waiting for these 6 hours and it was very tormenting. I know you were being intimate with them, and I know they must have taken advantage of you a lot, but what can Wenwen do? All I can do is deliberately lose and be the last one to persuade you, so that I can stay with you for a while longer. A few more minutes means a few more minutes." Han Wenwen was very jealous, but speaking of being fickle, even now I still think, if I had met Brother Zhengren earlier when I was a child, how great it would be, so that if I pestered you all day long, maybe you wouldn't like the second person? Not to mention 7, in my heart I can't even accept 2. As she said this, she laughed, but in reality, I am the third one Brother Zhengren met, so, sometimes I am quite glad that Brother Zhengren is a fickle person. Otherwise, she fantasized about a future that might be real, and felt extremely bleak. What else can I do? If Brother Zhengren didn't love me and only loved Xiao Qingqing, then I wouldn't have been admitted to high school 3 years ago, and I would have been separated from Xiao Qingqing. If that were the case, my life might have ended 3 years ago. Don't talk nonsense. Lin Zhengren hugged her. Han Wenwen kissed Lin Zhengren's cheek again, and said in a flattering voice, "No nonsense. If you were not there when I had a fever, and you were not there for the new year that year, what would Wenwen become? Without Brother Zhengren, I don't even have the motivation to live. This world is the same with or without me." When talking about the deep feelings, Han Wenwen's eyes were filled with tears. Lin's Hengren wiped her tears with his fingers and continued to stroke her head to comfort her. Han Wenwen smiled thankfully, leaning in his arms and holding Lin's Hengren's hand tightly. Fortunately, Brother Hengren likes me. Although I get jealous of your philandering sometimes, life has become very interesting after all. I am also happy to see Brother Hengren every day, so 7 is 7. If Brother Hengren is happy, Wenwen is happy. She rubbed her head against Lin's Hengren's chin. To me, Brother Hengren is the most important, the most important. Chapter 268 Jealousy. While rubbing their heads, Lin's Hengren and Han Wenwen looked at each other. Their eyes met, and each other's reflections were in their pupils. The corners of their mouths inexplicably smiled. The little fox suddenly snorted. What are you laughing at, Brother Hengren? Lin's Hengren stared at the fox. I was thinking that now that we have an open relationship, you won't be able to sneak around to me anymore, right? We've been sneaking around for so many years, I don't know if you can get used to it now that we're open and above board. Why can't we sneak around? I can be open and above board and sneak around at the same time. I have the advantage. Han Wenwen didn't understand and put his hand on her chest. Doesn't Brother Hengren like me sneaking around to you? I will still sneak around to Brother Hengren if I should. After all, you said that many years ago. She repeated what she said back then word for word. Brother Hengren said at the time that he would pamper me the most. Brother Hengren must know what pampering me the most means, right? Wenwen doesn't want to be the main wife. I just want to be like Brother Hengren's lover. I don't want anything. I just want you to pamper me a little more. She leaned in to remind him. Brother Hengren, you can't go back on your word. That still counts. So, I want both openly and secretly. Lin's Hengren felt something in the palm of her hand. It was obvious that the fox was doing it on purpose. She winked a few times, biting her lips and showing a seductive figure. The little fox saw Lin's Hengren's micro-expression. Brother Hengren, what are you thinking about? Lin's Hengren put his other hand around her waist, and the little fox's upper body straightened up immediately. The hand that was held by her was taken back and put into the clothes dishonestly. The little fox did not stop him but smiled. Then there was a snap in the car. Han Wenwen blinked and kissed Lin's Hengren's neck, lowering her voice. Brother Hengren is so bad since he did something some time ago. He has become different from before. He is no longer the Brother Hengren who did nothing when he was alone. Now he does this whenever he has the chance. Isn't this because of you? Is it because of me? The hot air from her lips slapped Lin's Hengren's neck. Then Wenwen has done a great deed again? I found something interesting in Brother Hengren's life. The two looked at each other again, and this time their faces got closer and closer until they really kissed each other. Han Wenwen felt Lin's Hengren's dishonesty. Her two hands were free, and she hugged Lin's Hengren's head and kissed him with great enjoyment. But the kiss didn't last too long. Han Wenwen puffed out her cheeks inexplicably and said jealously, they all smell like Xiao King and Lily. How many times did Brother Hengren kiss them today? You haven't kissed Wenwen in the past 2 days. Nonsense again, aren't we kissing now? And I didn't kiss you in the girls' bathroom. Han Wenwen's mouth curled up, but her eyes became more jealous. Brother Hengren, do you really think Wenwen is a fool? Do you really think Wenwen is a fool? Even if I really didn't think it through at the beginning, but after a night Brother Hengren felt that Wenwen couldn't see it? Do you think my nose is long for nothing? She slowed down her tone, with obvious shame and annoyance, shy and angry, but this time she was obviously more angry. Where is my first time? Brother Hengren didn't give his first time to Wenwen. He said in the girls' bathroom that there was not enough time and they would find out, and Wenwen believed it. I think Brother Hengren simply doesn't crave me. You've seen too many beauties around you and you're not interested in me. Lin's Hengren wanted to laugh. If I wasn't greedy for you, would I have to do that now? Han Wenwen turned around and said angrily, who knows? Anyway, you didn't give it to me. Wenwen can't accept it unless Brother Hengren compensates me. What do you want? Han Wenwen was very jealous, but she also knew that this kind of thing was gone. She suddenly pointed at the glass. Can you see this scenery in the car from outside? Lin's Hengren closed the car curtains. Don't you have curtains? This car is used for picnics, so there are curtains in the car when you rent it. When the curtains were closed, the car became slightly dark. Han Wenwen said meaningfully, is that so? Then close the other curtains too? I'm afraid of the light and like the car to be a little darker. Han Wenwen reached out and gently stroked Lin's Hengren's face. Not letting Lin's Hengren speak, Brother Hengren, please don't say that time is not enough this time. The three of us have agreed that each of us will accompany Brother Hengren for 3 hours. My 3 hours have just begun. And as the last one to negotiate with Brothers Hengren, it's okay to add half an hour or an hour, right? Linz Hengren immediately understood. So it was you who proposed these 3 hours. Han Wenwen raised the corners of her mouth, with a cunning fox look. What else? Did I lose on purpose because it would be dark when it was my turn? I proposed that each of us stay with Brothers Hengren for 3 hours. Although the time is long, I know that even if there are 3 hours during the day, Brothers Hengren will not have the opportunity to do anything with the two of them, because there are many tourists on the mountain. But now the time and place are different. No one can see what Brothers Hengren and I do. Linz Hengren laughed helplessly. Han Wenwen felt something. Frowning and blushing, she stared at Linz Hengren's eyes. Brothers Hengren bullied me. Linz Hengren, then you should draw all the curtains, and the glass in front of the car windows can also be blocked with sun visors. Okay, the little fox got up and drew the curtains on all the windows, and also covered the front glass with sun visors. The car immediately became more than 1 degree darker. However, Han Wenwen could still see Linz Hengren's figure clearly. This time she did not sit on his lap, but sat beside him, holding her long hair by her ears with her hands. Brothers Hengren, it's so dark in the car after the curtains are drawn. Wenwen is hungry. I've been hungry all day. I want to eat something first. Wenwen, she pursed her lips, bent down and lay on Linz Hengren's lap. Linz Hengren touched her head with his hand. She also closed her eyes and quietly felt the passage of time. More than half an hour later, Han Wenwen lay flat on the back seat, looking at her beloved Linz Hengren in front of her. She swallowed her saliva, held his face and said charmingly, Brothers Hengren, Wenwen has finally waited for this day. I will let you remember Wenwen. Whenever you have desires in the future, you will think of Wenwen first. I love you, Master. After a few hours, the sky finally darkened. The scenery inside the travel bus is not suitable for children. In the tent at the picnic site, Zhang Zuli and little He Qing were sitting inside. One was sitting like a duck, and the other was hugging her legs obediently. They were watching TV and eating snacks. Zhang Zuli suddenly said, He Qing, do you think Han Wenwen can succeed? Little He Qing told the truth. There is still some hope, because Wenwen's personality is different from the two of us. She is very serious about business. I hope she can succeed. Chapter 269, Panacea. After a round of lovemaking, Linz Hengren lay in the back seat. The SUV's bed-like back seat is indeed very convenient at certain times. Han Wenwen lay on Linz Hengren like a natural little fox, without any worldly accessories. Linz Hengren was afraid that she would be cold, so he took a blanket from the car to cover her. The little fox's hands circled around Linz Hengren's neck. Her expression was wonderful and happy. Brothers Hengren is so strong. Linz Hengren touched her smooth long hair and sighed that this fox was so powerful. After He Qing and Lily had done something, they basically had confused looks in their eyes. Half asleep and half awake, drowsy. But more than 3 hours later, although Han Wenwen's breath was unstable due to fatigue, she was in good spirits, and even her charm was more intense. Are you tired? He asked. I'm tired, but it would be great if I could keep being tired like this. Anyway, Brothers Hengren has so much energy every day and know where to use it. She looked at Linz Hengren playfully. Just use me in the future. I don't think it's too much. Linz Hengren hugged her. You're really amazing. Where did you learn all this? Amazing, right? In order to serve Brothers Hengren well, Wenwen has read novels, watched movies and TV shows for so many years. Although I haven't tried it myself and it only exists in theory, the facts prove that Wenwen is still very talented. It can be seen that you were the reincarnation of a fox spirit in your previous life. He couldn't help but sigh. Then does Brothers Hengren like Wenwen more? Yes, really, she whispered shyly while hugging Linz Hengren. Suddenly, Han Wenwen remembered something, touched the pocket of her clothes, took out a bank card and handed it to Linz Hengren. By the way, here, what's this? My bank card. All my money is in it. Although it's not much, it's tens of thousands of yuan. I remember I gave it to Brothers Hengren once when I was in junior high school. I told you to take it but you didn't want to. This time Wenwen is completely Brothers Hengren's person. You can't refuse again, right? Linz Hengren was curious why she always entangled with these things. I'm not short of money. Besides, can't you spend your own money freely? Why do you have to give it to me? Han Wenwen was puzzled. It must be given to Brothers Hengren. What does Wenwen want to use the money for? She said embarrassedly. Although I spend the most money compared to He Qing and Lily, because I like to buy clothes and so on. But loving to spend money does not mean loving to take money, she said coquettishly. Normally speaking, girls should give money to their men, otherwise how can I act coquettishly and ask Brother Zhangren for money when I buy things? I have explained this matter before. She snorted lightly, blinked her fox eyes twice, put a finger on his lips with a serious expression, and Brother Zhangren, don't think I don't know that you are the one who takes Xiao Qing's money. She asked you coquettishly when she was short of money, why can't I do the same? I want to act coquettishly too. She did that because Han Wenwen stared at Lin Zhangren jealously. Lin Zhangren was speechless and asked in a different way, don't you act coquettishly enough in normal times? She stared at Lin Zhangren even more jealously. Lin Zhangren was convinced by this fox and reluctantly took the bank card. Okay. Then you can ask me for money when you spend money, but you should at least leave some for yourself, right? You are different from He Qing. You have too much expenses if you live in a mess. Han Wenwen was so happy to see him finally take the card. In this way, all her wealth and life will be in the hands of Brother Zhangren. Then Brother Zhangren, please transfer 2,000 to me first, and I will ask for it after I spend it. Lin Zhangren took out his mobile phone to transfer money to Han Wenwen. Isn't this unnecessary? Han Wenwen stared at Lin Zhangren. What do you mean by unnecessary? This is not unnecessary. In this way, I will really become a little fox raised by Brother Zhangren. I like the feeling of being controlled by Brother Zhangren, and I like you to support me. Lin Zhangren smiled and snorted. Han Wenwen also snorted playfully. By the way, Brother Zhangren, after you go to college, are you really planning to rent a house and live together, not renting, but buying? Didn't you always say that you wanted to have a home? After you buy a house, it will be your home, and we won't move easily in the future. Han Wenwen's eyes changed. She had never thought about Lin Zhangren's intentions in this way. Touched, she bit her lower lip. So Brother Zhangren wanted to buy a house because of me? So that I can have a home, what else? Xiao Qing and Lily don't care much about this kind of thing, but you, I see that you like to decorate your own room, but renting a house is always inconvenient sometimes, but you can do whatever you want when you buy a house. The little fox kissed a corner of Lin Zhangren's mouth. Brother Zhangren is so good to me. Lin Zhangren touched her long hair and put down his mobile phone. The money has been transferred to you. Take a look. What are you looking at? I don't want to look. I just want to see Brother Zhangren. Lin Zhangren wanted to check the time, but Han Wenwen found out and took his mobile phone. Don't look at the time. If you look at the time, you will definitely go back. I don't allow you to leave me so soon. Wait until Xiao Qing calls Lily. I still want to hug you and chat with you for a while. Lin Zhangren was still willing to pamper this fox in his heart. Holding her, he asked, what else do you want to talk about? Han Wenwen continued to circle his neck with her hands. I don't know, anything is fine. Oh, there's really a topic. Does Brother Zhangren want children? How many do you want Wenwen to give birth to for you? Brother Zhangren likes boys or girls, any number is fine. I am not picky about boys or girls, but not now. You are too young now, at least after graduating from college. Actually, whenever Brother Zhangren wants, Wenwen is willing to do so, but you still have the final say. By the way, I think the children born to Brother Zhangren and I will definitely be very cute. I can imagine it, just don't have a fox tail, that's for sure. Brother Zhangren really thinks Wenwen is a vixen. The two looked at each other with a smile, and Han Wenwen suddenly said, I'm greedy again, I want more. I just took a break, and I've been busy all afternoon. No. Wenwen just wants you. Please, master. After getting Lin Zhangren's eye consent, Han Wenwen kissed him again. It was another period of inappropriate for children. It was past 8 o'clock in the evening. Xiao Qing finally called because more than 4 hours had passed, far exceeding the agreed 3 hours. She asked why the two hadn't come back yet. Han Wenwen answered the phone and made up an excuse to get away with it. Lin Zhangren and Han Wenwen changed their clothes, got off the car and returned to the picnic site. Han Wenwen was really amazing. Even after 4 hours, she could still walk slowly with Lin Zhangren holding her hand. However, after Lin Zhangren felt the fox's pulse, he realized that her special physique was partly due to her strong desires and physique. But more importantly, Han Wenwen had eaten a lot of delicious food last time and this time. Some kind of panacea helped Han Wenwen improve her root physique, so she looked different from ordinary people and her physical strength could be restored quickly. Chapter 270 Girlfriend's Joint Victory. Jiang Zuli and He Qing both walked out of the tent and saw the two of them, with both expectation and confusion on their faces. Jiang Zuli asked, Where have you two been and why have you stayed so long? Han Wenwen held Lin Sehengren's hand tightly, and was led by him step by step forward. The feeling near her thigh was indeed different from usual. After being favored by Brother Sehengren for so long, Han Wenwen felt that her body was light and a little half-exhausted, but it was not accurate to say that she was half-exhausted. Because her legs and feet seemed to have no strength, but she could not say that she was tired. It was a bit like the feeling of the body just waking up and slowly recovering. She pursed her lips and recalled that Brother Sehengren was really delicious. After tasting Brother Sehengren's taste for the first time in the hotel, she couldn't forget it. Just now in the car, she finally let herself satisfy her appetite for food again. Although I am full now, I am so fascinated that I will be greedy next time. Han Wenwen raised her other hand and waved, He Qing, Lily, we are back. Brother Sehengren just took me to the mountain for a walk. It was a little dark, so we came down a little slowly. Sorry, Zhang Zuli said. Oh, it's okay. I just want to come back safely. Because Han Wenwen came back on foot, He Qing and Zhang Zuli didn't think much about it this time. After all, Lin Sehengren's strength seemed to be endless. They knew that if Han Wenwen really did that with Lin Sehengren, Han Wenwen would definitely come back with him, not walking back. Han Wenwen had already guessed what the two girls were thinking. When she received a call from Zhao He Qing in the car just now, Lin Sehengren was afraid that this fox was tired and wanted to carry her back. But she acted like a spoiled child and refused, insisting that she could walk. Lin Sehengren probably knew what she was thinking. She wanted to give He Qing and Lili the illusion that she had not been slept with by him. In this way, if she wanted it very much in the future, He Qing and Lili would not disturb Han Wenwen from being intimate with her. I have to say that this fox is really cunning, but since she puts her thoughts into such things, Lin Sehengren will just give in to her. Han Wenwen, who has many thoughts but is not bad, Lin Sehengren will still spoil her. Lin Sehengren, are you three starving? Let's continue to have barbecue tonight? We have to finish all the food that we didn't finish at noon at night. The three girls responded. Okay, little He Qing said obediently. We have prepared the barbecue grill in advance. Lin Sehengren let go of Han Wenwen's hand and touched little He Qing's face. Han Wenwen looked jealous but couldn't disturb her. After a while, Lin Sehengren sat in the middle of the four tents, frying the skewers on the barbecue grill that was emitting sparks. The fragrant smell of barbecue skewers soon floated into the air. Han Wenwen, who was almost exhausted, drooled at the smell, but she was taken aside by the two girls. Zhang Zuli asked expectantly, how is it, Han Wenwen? Did you succeed? Little He Qing swallowed nervously. Did you say it? Han Wenwen blinked her fox eyes twice, tilted her head and smiled. Of course I mentioned it, and Brother Sehengren listened to me. The two girls were surprised and said in unison, really? Does it mean there's a chance? The little fox snorted and laughed twice. It's a pity that I failed. Brother Sehengren didn't say to reduce the number. He Qing and Zhang Zuli were stunned. He Qing whispered, then Wenwen, you are so happy? I thought you succeeded. Han Wenwen blushed and covered her face with one hand. That's because I also did things above hugging, and kissed Brother Sehengren for a long time. When I go back, I will punish myself with 3 buckets of ice water. He Qing, Zhang Zuli, the girlfriend's joint plan failed completely. Lin Sehengren called from a distance, you three, come and eat barbecue. The 3 girls responded again and sat around Lin Sehengren. Lin Sehengren handed them 3 skewers of lamb. The 3 girls all wanted to feed Lin Sehengren the first bite. Lin Sehengren also picked up a skewer. No, I have my own, you can just eat it directly. The 3 girls saw him say but waited until he took the first bite before eating. Failure did not dampen the 3 people's passion for this picnic. They still talked and laughed while enjoying the food. Lin Sehengren saw Han Wenwen, Zhang Zuli and He Qing chewing the barbecue happily. I have thought carefully about what you 3 talked to me about today. Although I may not find a few in the future, I do think that a maximum of 7 is good at first. However, after today's tossing, I do think that having too many girlfriends is not a good thing. First, I will have less time to accompany you. Second, if you have something to talk to me in the future, each of you will have 3 hours, and the whole day will pass without doing anything. So change it to a maximum of 6, and I will find 6 at most. The 3 girls were stunned when they heard these words. They stared at Lin Sehengren until he finished speaking and then started eating barbecue again. The 3 girls looked at each other, and their faces were visibly filled with smiles. The girlfriend alliance won. After dinner, the 3 girls were busy again. because they had to lay out the bedding and other things they brought in the tent. Girls all have the gene of playing house, especially in such a warm little tent. It can't be over with just putting a pillow and a bed quilt. All kinds of decorations and tomorrow's clothes must be neatly placed. And Lin's Hengren's tent, Lin's Hengren originally planned to do it casually. As a result, the three women were very enthusiastic in making the bed for Lin's Hengren. They said that it was too tiring to bake things, so Lin's Hengren just needed to take a rest. The three of them did these small things simply. Lin's Hengren let them do what they wanted. Seeing that the water was almost finished, he said, "Then you guys clean up. I'll go to the car and get another bottle of mineral water." Lin's Hengren went to the parking lot and opened the trunk to get water. As a result, when he turned around, he suddenly saw a familiar figure in the dark. The other party was wearing red-bottomed high heels, stockings and long skirts on the lower body, and a very thin high-end sweater on the upper body. The necklace and earrings of art sparkled in the moonlight. The woman stared at Lin's Hengren with tender eyes, with longing and fear on her face. Lin's Hengren's mouth curled up in surprise. "Jingshi, Zhang." The two strolled on the Emerald Stone Road in the parking area. This female boss, who is respected by everyone in the business world and has countless secret admirers, is now very terrified. In front of the man she likes, she is completely like a 20-year-old girl. Lin's Hengren was curious. "Why are you here? This place is not close to Zither City. Is there something wrong?" "Jing," she said in a gentle voice, "It's okay. I just found out you were here this morning. An employee of the company came here for a trip and saw you. Pan Lin accidentally found out about it and told me. I didn't plan to come here, but I missed you so much that I wanted to come and see you." Lin's Hengren was surprised. "This morning? It takes a day to get here from Zither City. You took a day's car just to see me." Jing she also felt that she had made a big fuss. But no one could understand how much she missed Lin's Hengren. The moment she knew the news, she couldn't sit still in the company and wanted to come and see him. "Well, I'll go back later. There are still some things waiting for me to deal with in the company tomorrow morning." Lin's Hengren smiled helplessly. Jing she could not defend herself when she felt his gaze. "I did not think before going out this time, but I am happy to see you." Lin's Hengren stopped. "I will be back in about 4 or 5 days." Jing she nodded. "Well, don't worry, just relax." The two looked at each other. Jing she clenched her fingers, and Lin's Hengren hugged Jing she's waist. Hug each other and kissed briefly under the moon. Thanks to Madix for the 100 starting coins. Thanks to Book Review Debate for the 300 starting coins. Thanks to 200 to 1,502,042,535 for the 100 starting coins. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271 Wish. Jing she's kiss was cautious. She was obviously nervous, but she felt like she was comforting Lin's Hengren. After the kiss, the vice president of Zhangxi Company had a red face and pressed against Lin's Hengren's chest. He was immersed for a long time. "Lin's Hengren, is the company busy these 2 days?" "Not busy, just some trivial matters," she said. "It's all because of the news after I was discharged from the hospital, but since you held hands with me last time, I have been much more efficient in handling work, and I can handle these things with ease." "Jingshi, you have worked hard." Jingshi's gentle eyes narrowed slightly. "It's not hard. I don't feel tired at all when you hug me." There was not much time to hug under the moon. Jingshi's cell phone rang, and when she answered it, it was about the company again. She said goodbye to Lin's Hengren. Zhang, "I'm leaving now. I have to have a meeting at the company tomorrow morning." Lin's Hengren touched her face with his hand, and did not comment on whether her long journey was necessary. He only cared, "Go slowly on the way back." "Well, you have fun too. Where is your car?" "I'll take you there." "No need, it's over there. Pan Lin is still waiting for me in the car. You can go back." She pointed to a path in the distance. Lin's Hengren saw the familiar Rolls Royce. She reluctantly broke away from his arms. "I'm leaving, bye." She stood on tiptoes and gave Lin's Hengren a farewell kiss, looking back every 2 steps and walking away. Lin's Hengren also returned to the rented car, took a bucket of water and returned to the picnic site. Jingshi, wearing high heels, walked quietly to the car. Pan Lin got out of the car and said respectfully, Mr. Zhang, are you only going to see me for a while? Zhang Jingshi looked at Lin Sihengren's figure disappearing in the darkness. Her tone was full of longing. Well, there are so many things to do in the company that I can't stay for long, and he is also very busy. Zhang Jingshi suddenly laughed. I thought I ran so far just to see him, he would scold me, but I didn't expect him to hug me. This time it's not a loss. Pan Lin felt that President Zhang has really changed since he met President Lin. Thinking back to the first time President Zhang met President Lin in the Taekwondo Hall 3 years ago, although he was also very gentle, he was also graceful. His temperament was also quite noble. It only took 3 years, although Zhang Jingshi's temperament has not changed much in the eyes of outsiders. But Pan Lin, who is familiar with her, knows that President Zhang is no longer the same President Zhang as before, and her mind is indeed mostly on President Lin. No matter what time or place, as long as President Lin is mentioned, President Jiang's face will be full of joy and become anxious. Just like this morning, I heard from my employees that after seeing President Lin at luncheon, President Zhang was so excited early in the morning that she changed her clothes and put on makeup without hesitation and pushed the things in her hands to tomorrow and came here. 6 or 7 hours on the road, the enthusiasm did not even diminish. It is hard to imagine how much love must be able to show such a performance. Boss Zhang, the 3 girls who accompanied Boss Lin to the mountain this time, Zhang Jingshi did not answer directly, but explained softly, he always tells me when he wants to. Well, Boss Lin must have his own plans. Pan Lin opened the door for Zhang Jingshi, and Zhang Jingshi took a long time to look away and get in the car. Pan Lin closed the door and the driver drove away. As the Rolls-Royce drove down the mountain, Pan Lin sat in the co-pilot and thought that Boss Lin would have college after high school, and just hoped that Boss Lin could spare more time to accompany Boss Zhang in the next few years. Zhang Jingshi looked out the window and saw something in the sky. Her eyes lit up and she smiled. After Lin Sihengren returned to the picnic camp, he suddenly saw the 3 little ones standing in front of the camp and looking at the sky. Lin Sihengren also looked up at the sky. I saw a small meteor streaking across the sky at high speed, with starlight trailing behind it. Xiao He Qing, Han Wenwen, and Zhang Zuli all opened their eyes wide. A shooting star? It's still a shooting star. This is the first time I've seen one. Me too. It turns out that you can actually see shooting stars on the mountain. What a magical place. Lin Sihengren walked over to the 3 of them. When they saw Lin Sihengren coming back, they quickly chattered about the noise they had just heard outside the tent. When they came out, they realized that a shooting star seemed to have just passed through the sky. Zhang Zuli was delighted. I wonder if there are any more? Is this the only one? Han Wenwen stared at the sky full of stars. There should be more, right? Little He Qing stood beside Lin Sihengren and said anxiously, oh, I forgot to make a wish just now. Lin Sihengren reminded, there is one more. Another shooting star passed by. The 3 little ones looked up in surprise and hurriedly made a wish. Although the wish was silent, the 4 people had the same wish, including Zhang Jingshi. The wish of the 3 little ones plus Zhang Jingshi was to be with Lin Sihengren forever. As for Lin Sihengren, he didn't have much to wish for. After all, he had been free to do whatever he wanted in this life. After the battle with the monster army, you went to the summer resort with He Xiangzi, Zhang Xiaonyu, and Han Yaonyu to relax. Although you didn't encounter any wild beasts during this parade, you had a lot of luck, and you even saw the rare Starlight Adventure, which made you stronger. After you and He Xiangzi practiced together, the luck of both sides increased greatly, and your spiritual energy increased greatly. After you and Zhang Xiaonyu practiced together, the luck of both sides increased greatly, and your spiritual energy increased greatly. After you practiced evil magic with a demon cult demon girl, the spiritual energy of both sides increased greatly, and your spiritual energy level broke through smoothly. The Starlight Adventure can make your spiritual energy level break through one more level. You successfully broke through to level 72. At such a young age, you have become an expert among experts. I'm afraid that the small imperial city can no longer hold you. In the near future, you will go to the real continent to make a living. Although the journey is dangerous and the strongest enemy organization is about to appear, new opportunities are also waiting for you. What does the strongest enemy refer to? In the system's cognition, the college entrance examination is already the biggest enemy among the biggest enemies, equivalent to 1 million monsters attacking a city. So the strongest enemy refers to the university? Lin Sihengren. There are only a few meteors in total. Lin Sihengren heard Xiao He Qing's question and explained, That's a lot. Meteors are often all about luck. Many people can't see them even if they look for them. It's good that we can see two tonight. He Qing looked at the sky. Yeah, it's okay if there are fewer, as long as the wish can come true. Lin Zhengren, okay, everyone is tired today, let's go back to our tents to rest. The three girls were suddenly startled when they heard this, their faces flushed, and they all nodded. Lin Zhengren said goodnight and returned to his tent first. The three little ones also looked at each other, said goodnight to each other, and crawled into their tents. It was quiet in the middle of the night. Lin Zhengren lay in the small and warm tent, not sleeping, and the door of the tent was left a crack. He was waiting for something. After a while, he heard the door of the tent quietly opened. Zhang Zuli sneaked in the dark. After a while, He Qing also sneaked in the dark, and the two girls groaned when they met. Finally, it was Han Wenwen. When the little fox opened the tent door, he saw He Qing and Zhang Zuli covering their heads in Brother Zhengren's tent. The small tent was full. The three girls looked at each other. They were all embarrassed and shy. Lin Zhengren lay on the bed and looked at them quietly. Don't be dazed, come and sleep next to me, He Qing and Lily on each side. When one can lie on me, come here. Chapter 272 Hot Spring. The three little ones were embarrassed to hear this, but since Lin Zhengren, the boss, had spoken, they had no choice but to do so. Zip up the tent. The three girls in pajamas found their own positions. He Qing and Zhang Zuli lay diagonally on the left and right sides of Lin Zhengren, hugged by him, while the little fox lay on Lin Zhengren's chest, hugging Lin Zhengren's waist. Lin Zhengren didn't feel heavy, just a little crowded. Maybe this is one of the few disadvantages of having many girlfriends. Are you all lying down? He Qing and Zhang Zuli nodded shyly. But Han Wenwen's fox nose moved, and suddenly she smelled a strange smell on Lin Zhengren. After realizing who the smell was, the little fox was surprised and looked up meaningfully at his brother Zhengren. The fox's eyes flashed with jealousy, as if saying, Brother Zhengren, if I smell this smell correctly, it's Zhang Jin's sister, the one with Mr. Zhang, right? Why wasn't there in the afternoon, but now it suddenly appears? Is she also in Linshan? Lin Zhengren was used to the little fox's keen sense of smell. He also responded and looked at the other party. Han Wenwen snorted jealously after realizing what Lin Zhengren meant. This woman's smell is not the first time to appear on Brother Zhengren. Although I haven't even seen her in person, judging from the closeness of the smell, I'm afraid that Brother Zhengren has already succeeded. Thinking of this, the little fox became more jealous. He found another girlfriend behind her back. She was so angry that she twisted the flesh on Lin Zhengren's waist with her hand. Of course, she didn't dare to twist it to hurt, just for the sake of meaning. It was unusually quiet tonight. The three women were in the tent, which actually checked and balanced each other. There was no mess when they separated. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly. Today, the three little ones and Lin Zhengren packed up the tent and changed clothes. Climbed from the mountainside to the top of the mountain. During the trip, the four of them traveled around the mountains and rivers, occasionally picking inedible mushrooms and looking at the scenery, laughing and talking. It was very lively. After climbing to the top of the mountain, the girls were shocked by the size of the mountains and took many photos happily. Each of them collected a few selfies with Lin Zhengren. The day passed by unknowingly, and they slept together in the tent on the top of the mountain for the second night. Around the afternoon of the third day, this trip to Linshan was finally coming to an end. Lin Zhengren drove the car and planned to take the three little ones back to the hotel to soak in the hot springs and have a good rest at night, and they could return to Zithar City tomorrow. The car stopped at the temporary parking area of the hotel. Lin Zhengren looked at the three little girls who got off the car with their bags and were a little tired. Do you three plan to go back to the house to rest or go directly to the hot spring? The three little girls responded without hesitation. Let's go directly to the hot spring, He Qing said softly. I haven't taken a shower for 3 days in the mountains. I'm so dirty. I want to take a shower. Zhang Zuli stroked her greasy hair and nodded. Me too, I want to take a shower first, otherwise I can't sleep in bed. Han Wenwen had the same idea. Lin Zhengren understood. Okay. Then you put your things back in the hotel first, and wait for me with your toiletries. I will take you to the hot spring after I park the car, the three girls responded. Lin Zhengren drove the car to the parking area at the foot of the mountain. After a while, Lin Zhengren returned to the hotel, and the three little girls were also holding their toiletries, including Lin Zhengren's toiletries, and lined up on the first floor waiting. The clerk at the front desk was still very impressed by these three little beauties. As a hotel staff in a tourist area, she has seen many beautiful girls, but it is rare to see three such beautiful girls traveling with a boy at the same time. Especially among the three girls, only one of them, who looks like a fox, has light makeup. The other two don't even have any traces of makeup at all. They are all natural beauties that are rare in the crowd. At this moment, the three of them are standing together neatly with their bags, waiting for someone. If they were taken into a photo and hung in the hotel, the clerk's sister felt that it could be used as a promotional picture for the hotel, which would definitely increase the flow of customers. After Lin Zhengren walked into the hotel, the three girls greeted him together. Lin Zhengren, brother Zhengren. Lin Zhengren agreed. Did you help me get my things? The three girls nodded. All taken. Lin Zhengren walked to the front desk, and the three girls followed. We booked a private hot spring. The front desk saw the four people coming and was really curious about the relationship between the three beauties and this handsome guy. Listening to the address just now, it seems like there is a girlfriend, a sister, or a friend. Front desk. Okay, Mr. Lin, right? Please go this way. The staff of the hot spring management office will take you there. Yes, thank you. Lin Zhengren was about to leave when the clerk whispered to him, by the way, I'm really curious. Excuse me, which of these three is the girlfriend of the handsome guy? Lin Zhengren stopped and glanced at the three girls. The three girls blushed and were shy. Lin Zhengren smiled at the clerk and didn't say much. But the clerk's sister blushed and looked aside when she saw this smile. She said softly with a pinched throat, it's okay, I said too much, customer. After that, he went to the hot spring area. The three girls were visibly shocked by Lin Zhengren's ability to pick up girls. They followed him with their mouths open. After they walked away, Zhang Zuli spoke first. Zhengren, can you not smile when talking to girls in the future? You obviously like to keep a straight face when you were a child. Why do you like to smile so much now? Lin Zhengren was helpless. Is it a sin for me to smile twice? Han Wenwen, I think what Lily said this time is still a little reasonable. Little He Qing nodded secretly. After the four people left, the clerk's sister covered her face shyly, and even forgot her gossiping heart. Her heart was beating so fast. She was led by the staff of the hot spring area to the private hot spring. The private hot spring is about 30 square meters. It is a pool of 5 meters by 6 meters, surrounded by high walls built with several layers of bamboo. Of course, there are several private pools in the hot spring area and a large cheap public pool. The cheap large pool is divided into men and women. The private pools are not divided. But the three little ones don't know. They have never soaked in it, and thought it was divided. So when they saw the hot spring pool with steam coming out of it alone, the faces of the three girls were shy to varying degrees. Little He Qing asked, why is there only one pool? Zhang Zuli also stammered, isn't this place gender neutral? I remember it was gender neutral on the promotional picture. Han Wenwen thought this was a really good place. If she could take a bath here alone with brother Zhengren, wouldn't it be? Lin Zhengren explained, the big pool is gender neutral, but the private pool is not. He took off his coat and hung it aside. Did you bring me new underwear? Little He Qing responded, yes, I brought you a full set of new clothes. She took out Lin Zhengren's clothes neatly from her school bag. Lin Zhengren took it over. Isn't there a dressing room next to it? You can go change too. I've booked a half-day one, which allows you to soak for 7 hours. Take your time. Chapter 273 No need to avoid. The three girls looked at each other shyly and went to the dressing room. The dressing room for the private hot spring was different from the public dressing room, and was in a separate room. The three girls only looked at the special private ladies' dressing room and the men's dressing room that Lin Zhengren went to. Zhang Zuli complained, the pools here are not divided by gender. What's the point of dividing the dressing rooms by gender? Little He Qing didn't quite understand, and answered casually, maybe. It's to let boys and girls change clothes separately? To keep privacy. Zhang Zuli and Han Wenwen looked at Little He Qing blankly. Zhang Zuli, that makes sense, just ignore me. She blushed and sighed and walked towards the dressing room. By the way, how are we going to take a bath later? After Lily walked in, Little He Qing covered her mouth and reacted. She was startled and asked Han Wenwen, did I just say something nonsense? Han Wenwen seemed to have gotten used to it. He Qing always had such a dull moment, and when this happened, she was mostly with brother Zhengren. Maybe when a girl is with someone she likes, her brain tends to crash. Smile, it's not nonsense, because the designer may think so. After the three girls entered the dressing room, little He Qing, Han Wenwen and Zhang Zuli were holding their school bags and suddenly froze for a while. Then they slowly began to change clothes and took out their carefully selected underwear. He Qing wore white as usual, Han Wenwen wore red, and Zhang Zuli wore yellow, which matched her hair. After changing, Zhang Zuli looked at He Qing's voluptuous upper body. Her eyes widened. Oh my god. He Qing, I didn't notice that you were wearing pajamas before. Are you so strong? Little He Qing hugged her arms shyly. In fact, she also felt weird after changing, too revealing. Ah. What strength? I've never been like this. Zhang Zuli couldn't understand. I know you look very strong at ordinary times, but I always thought it was because of the underwear. It's not underwear, that's it. Little He Qing's voice was even smaller. Zhang Zuli looked at Han Wenwen again and was even more surprised. Although Han Wenwen's upper body was not as advantageous as He Qing's, her waist and hips. Han Wenwen, you are amazing. Although I can usually see this, how come you have such a good figure now? Is this the legendary easy birth of a son? Han Wenwen was not so embarrassed. She just covered her face and said, thank you, Lily. Lily has a good figure too. Zhang Zuli looked down at her upper body dully. Then she turned around and looked at her waist and hips. She wanted to cry. Are you serious, Han Wenwen? Han Wenwen nodded. Of course, although Lily may not be outstanding in some places, her whole body is very coordinated. The figure of a little lolly is a unique feature. I always think that Lily is incredibly cute. He Qing nodded slowly. I think so too. Lily's cuteness is very special. She is the kind of cuteness that makes people feel cute just standing there without saying anything. Zhang Zuli remembered that Lin Sahangren also said from time to time that she was the cutest among the three. Her little face flushed, and she put her hands behind her back and twisted her body. Really? Am I really that cute? Thank you. The three girls changed their clothes and walked out of the dressing room to the private hot spring. On the way, little He Qing habitually tapped her hands in front of her. Zhang Zuli put her hands behind her back, and Han Wenwen's mouth curled up slightly. Whenever the three little ones were in this state, there was only one possibility. That is, they thought the next scene would be very embarrassing. Opening the door of the private hot spring, Lin Sahangren had already changed his clothes and soaked in it. He leaned back in the hot spring, his arms stretched out comfortably to support his body, and exhaled a long breath. Hearing the three people coming in, Lin Sahangren looked back at the three little ones' three-color clothes and examined their figures. They were indeed first-class good-looking. Come here. Come in and soak in the water. It's really comfortable to soak in this water. The three little ones went down to the hot spring pool one after another. After entering, they really felt that the water seemed to be different from the usual bathing water. It was pale white, with petals, and an indescribable fragrance. It was easy to relax. He Qing and Zhang Zuli thought it would be very embarrassing, because the thought of taking a hot spring bath with Lin Sahangren was. In the end, it was not as embarrassing as imagined, because Lin Sahangren closed his eyes and leaned there the whole time. Zhang Zuli scooped up some water and flower petals with her hands. Is this a hot spring? The water is really warm all the time, but why is the water this color? Did you add milk? Little He Qing also held water. I have never soaked in a hot spring, but I have read the introduction that it seems to be produced by the oxidation reaction between the substances in the water and the air. Lin Sahangren closed his eyes and said, well, He Qing is right, but the colors of hot springs in different places are different. Han Wenwen asked in a low voice, I saw on the internet that many hot springs are fake. Is this place, Brother Sahangren, real or fake? Lin Sahangren opened his eyes and raised his hand. If it's fake, I won't bring you here. I will teach you the simplest method. If you soak in real hot spring water for a long time, your finger skin will not wrinkle. If it is fake, it is just ordinary hot water, and your skin will wrinkle. Han Wenwen sighed. Is that so? Brother Sahangren is so amazing and knows everything. Can I rub Brother Sahangren's back? Well, come on. The little fox swam over, squeezed a little shower gel provided by the hot spring, and applied it on Lin Sahangren's back. Zhang Zuli and He Qing were shocked, thinking that Wenwen was so proactive and not shy at all. After applying the shower gel, Han Wenwen gently massaged Lin Sahangren's shoulders with her palms. Behind him, she asked coquettishly, how do you feel, Brother Sahangren? Little He Qing and Zhang Zuli blushed. It might be because of the soaking, or it might be because they thought Han Wenwen was so good. Lin Sahangren hummed, it feels great. Zhang Zuli couldn't stand that anymore. What is she doing? Swim over. Zhengren, I'll help you too. Little He Qing also went over. I'll join in. Lin Zhengren looked at the three people surrounding him, He Qing and Zhang Zuli massaging his arms and upper body. Han Wenwen massaged his back and shoulders. Helpless, one is enough, there's no need for all three to come over, right? No one spoke, they all blushed, and only Zhang Zuli complained, you idiot, just enjoy it. Lin Zhengren ignored them. After the three little girls finished massaging and rubbing their backs, they all packed up. After 2 days of climbing the mountain, taking a bath is simply the most refreshing thing in the world. Lin Zhengren said, I'm going to the bathroom, you guys take your time, the three girls responded. As a result, when Lin Zhengren stood up and walked out of the water, the little fox Zhang Zuli and He Qing blushed. They stared at him as he walked out. Little He Qing asked timidly, Lin Zhengren, have you been bathing like this just now? Didn't I give you new underwear? Why didn't you change? Lin Zhengren took out clean men's underwear from the small closet next to him. Why change after taking a bath? You three are my girlfriends and I have nothing to be shy about, but you still have to change when you go to the bathroom. The three little ones were so embarrassed when they heard this. No one said anything. Chapter 274 Hot Spring Wine. After Lin Zhengren left, Han Wenwen saw a cabinet nearby in silence. She curiously opened it and took a look. She found a large hot spring manual in a small removable red plastic button. Han Wenwen took it in her hand and asked, what is this? Zhang Zuli and He Qing swam to her side and checked it out together. Little He Qing took the small button from her hand and said, I've never seen it before. It looks like a missile launcher or a remote control for explosives on TV. Zhang Zuli sighed and said with a smile, there shouldn't be such a scary thing in a hot spring hotel, right? Han Wenwen flipped through the manual. After seeing something, her pupils shrank and she covered her lips with her hands, saying in a trembling voice, maybe Xiao Qing is right. The manual said that this place was once a battlefield relic hundreds of years ago, and later developed into a tourist attraction, so there may be some landmines and bombs buried in the mountains. Zhang Zuli was skeptical. Is it true? Even if this place was really a relic, why would the remote control of the explosives appear in the hot spring cabinet? Han Wenwen reached out and pressed the remote control. Just press it and you will know. If it is a bomb, there will definitely be a place where it will explode. He Qing covered her head in fear. Wenwen, what are you doing? Zhang Zuli was also greatly surprised, and retorted angrily, don't press it so rashly. What if it is really a bomb? This is a crime. At least tell Zhengren about such a dangerous thing first. In less than half a minute, there was a knock on the door. The two girls were startled and looked towards the door. It turned out that a staff member was pushing a cart at the door and asked, excuse me, is this the hot spring wine you want? Please come to the door and get it. He Qing and Zhang Zuli looked at Han Wenwen in horror after hearing the voice. Han Wenwen covered her mouth and laughed wantonly. She put down the hot spring manual. I'm just kidding you two. The manual says that this button is for buying wine. If you want to drink, press it and someone will send it. The little fox got up and left the hot spring pool. He took a blanket from the side and put it on himself and went to the door to open it. The staff promoted the wine they sold. This is the hot spring wine that is special to our hotel. The alcohol content is not high and the taste is dense. How many bottles do you want? Han Wenwen looked at the bottle of wine, which was not big. 2 bottles, okay, here you go. Han Wenwen carried 2 bottles of wine and a cup on a plate back to the hot spring room. She smiled at the 2 little ones. Dang dang. Hot spring wine, He Qing and Zhang Zuli sighed, really convinced by this fox. He Qing, Wenwen, you really scared me to death. Soaking in the hot spring again, Han Wenwen opened a bottle of wine and filled 3 cups. Passed it to Zhang Zuli and He Qing. Try some? It's said to be very special. He Qing took it and thanked her. Zhang Zuli also took it but replied, I'll just drink a little. I'm not a good drinker. He Qing laughed and said, I'm not a good drinker, but in high school, sometimes Wenwen and I would secretly drink some beer in the dormitory on Saturdays so that we could sleep well at night. Zhang Zuli was surprised. She didn't know about this. You two secretly drank in high school. Han Wenwen, just a little bit, don't worry, Lily. The alcohol content of this wine is not high, just the alcohol content of beer. You can take a sip and if it doesn't taste good, forget it. The 3 of them simply tasted the cups. What's interesting is that this wine is heated, and it tastes more like juice than wine. Even Zhang Zuli, who usually doesn't drink much, was surprised after tasting it. It's not bad, it tastes good. He Qing also commented, "It has a fruity taste." Han Wenwen covered her face with one hand. "It feels so comfortable to drink while soaking in the hot spring." The three of them took another big sip. It's true that soaking in the hot spring makes you thirsty. Han Wenwen poured another glass for He Qing and Zhang Zuli. After a glass of wine, Han Wenwen's face was slightly red, and the other two girls were also red. It's not known whether it was because of the wine or the hot spring. After going to college, everyone will be very busy, right? The little fox asked suddenly. Zhang Zuli took another sip of wine and spun the glass with one hand. "Well, the music company has arranged a lot of work for me. After the competition in the second half of the year, I will have to participate in several programs. I guess I won't have much time in school by then." He Qing nodded and held a glass with both hands. "I'm fine. I just haven't practiced taekwondo for a long time because of the college entrance examination. I have to pick it up again when I have time after entering college. I also want to participate in the provincial competition." Han Wenwen looked at the wine in the glass. "I haven't posted many game videos this year. After entering college, I have to officially start live streaming. I also have a competition to participate in, and I can't help but make money." Zhang Zuli thought of something and smiled. "So Zhengren has to be the busiest one. I guess Zhengren will have to accompany us in all our activities, right?" No one denied it. He Qing wished everyone well. "I hope all of us can get better and better when we go to college. But time flies so fast. Before I knew it, I'm already 18 years old and have graduated from high school." Zhang Zuli took another sip of wine, leaned against the hot spring pool and looked at the ceiling. "It's indeed a bit fast. Think about how old I was when I met Zhengren. So many years have passed without me noticing. It's like a dream. Sometimes I feel like I haven't grown up at all. It feels like I'm still doing what I did when I was a child." Little He Qing gulped down the wine in the glass. Zhang Zuli commented with a smile, "They are all the same. There are not so many obvious changes. But talking like this makes me miss our childhood. I used to be jealous because Zhengren called you." He Qing felt embarrassed when she talked about this. "Me too. Although I returned to my hometown, I knew that Lin Zhengren was usually with a girl. I was very jealous at the time. I was afraid that someone would snatch Lin Zhengren away every day." She looked at Zhang Zuli. "Lily, the other night you..." Seeing He Qing's eyes, Zhang Zuli remembered what happened that night and waved her hands awkwardly. "Don't take it to heart. Don't take it to heart. Although we are sisters, jealousy is inevitable." Little He Qing chuckled. "Lily is a very good girl. The same goes for you and Han Wenwen. I think even if Zhengren wasn't here, we would have hit it off in junior high school, right Han Wenwen?" She turned to look at Han Wenwen, only to find that Han Wenwen had disappeared long ago. Zhang Zuli was surprised. "Where's Han Wenwen?" He Qing was slightly tipsy. "I don't know. Wasn't she just chatting with us? Did she go to the bathroom?" "Maybe." Han Wenwen is now Zhengren's girlfriend. It's obviously a sudden thing, but I don't feel unfamiliar at all, as if she has always been Zhengren's girlfriend. And when one is so proactive towards Lin Zhengren. When I was scrubbing his bath just now, I felt that Wenwen seemed to have massaged Lin Zhengren more than once. After all, they have been together for a long time, but we just don't know it." The two women drank wine and soaked in the hot spring. As a result, they looked at each other and suddenly thought of something. In unison, "She won't go to Zhengren secretly now, will she? She won't go to Lin Zhengren secretly now, will she?" In the private lounge area, Lin Zhengren was sitting on the sofa, and Han Wenwen hugged Lin Zhengren's neck, riding on his legs, kissing Lin Zhengren intimately. The little fox asked jealously, "Brother Zhengren, should you explain the matter of that woman to Wenwen?" Chapter 275 I Can't Help Myself. Lin Zhengren saw that the little fox had a slight blush on her face. And because she didn't wipe her skin after taking a hot spring bath, there were still some water droplets on her body. Especially the water droplets on her shoulders and collarbones made the whole fox look very pretty. Lin Zhengren pursed his lips. "Have you been drinking? There's a faint smell of alcohol in your mouth," Han Wenwen said playfully. Just now after Brother Zhengren left, Lily and Xiao Qingqing drank some hot spring wine. Seeing them chatting enthusiastically, "I was bored alone, so I came to find you." "Bored alone?" Han Wenwen tried to hold back her laughter. "I came to you on purpose. I sneaked away." After that, Han Wenwen poked Lin Zhengren's mouth with her finger, and said unexpectedly seriously, "Don't change the subject. What's the situation between you and that woman? Does Brother Zhengren still want to hide it?" "How can I hide it? It's just that even if I introduce her, I can't introduce her without words, right? I originally planned to let you meet after the trip. Only by meeting can you get to know each other, but she came directly to you." The little fox looked sharp and jealous. "Where is she? Where did you hide her?" "Gone. Gone. Wasn't she still there the day before yesterday?" She was curious. "Well, she is the deputy general manager after all. There are a lot of things to do in Tangxi Company. She could only spare some time to see me this time. She went back after meeting me. I met her for only about 10 minutes that day." The little fox was surprised. "Did you come from Zither City?" "Yes. You traveled such a long distance just to see Brothers Hangren? How much do you have to like her?" "I think something happened between Brothers Hangren and her. There really were some things." The little fox turned his head and snorted, saying unhappily, "I understand. So even if I stick to Brothers Hangren all day long, Brothers Hangren is still flirting with other girls where Wenwen can't see him." "I don't know anything." Lin Hangren smiled, and seeing that Han Wenwen was still observing him out of the corner of his eye, he put his arm around her soft and delicate waist. "How could that be? She and I just got together a few days before the trip, otherwise I would have told you guys, and I can't really count as a philanderer," he said seriously. "You know I've known her for several years, and she's been very good to me in every way. I really like her, and if I like her then of course I have to have her." The little fox frowned in surprise. Brothers Hangren is so bold. He just told Wenwen so openly that he likes someone else. Lin Hangren hugged her comfortingly. Okay, Wenwen, don't be jealous." The little fox buried her face in Lin Hangren's shoulder, biting her lip in anger. "Huh? A few years ago when you first said you knew her, I felt that this woman named Jiang Jingxi was no stranger. Some time ago, when I heard Lily say that she was the vice president and Brothers Hangren was the president, I immediately felt that something was wrong. But I didn't expect that Brothers Hangren would succeed so quickly." She bit Lin Hangren's ear. "So Brothers Hangren has 4 girlfriends now?" "Yeah." Even though she was angry, she held her throat, straightened her body and looked at him delicately. "Yes. Did you kiss when she came the day before yesterday? I know the smell of that lipstick. Also, I've been wanting to say it before the trip, but I never had the time. Did you hug her a lot a week ago? You smelled like that woman during the days you were at the company." Lin Hangren didn't say anything else, but stared at Han Wenwen, who was jealous. "Do you want to kiss for a while?" Han Wenwen was speechless, and hesitated. "Yes." Lin Hangren gently touched Han Wenwen's lips. Han Wenwen's face suddenly turned red, and she couldn't say a word. Han Wenwen's heart melted when her favorite Brothers Hangren coaxed her like this, and she really couldn't be angry anymore. Which woman can stand Hangren's brother taking the initiative to kiss her on the mouth like this? She could only whisper, "Brothers Hangren is so bad, I want to kiss you for a while." "Okay." She hugged Lin Hangren's neck, and their lips moved closer and gradually kissed each other. Lips and teeth intertwined. But this time the kiss didn't last too long, and the door of the lounge was pushed open by the golden Jiang Zuli. "Han Wenwen, you are here. I heard your voice outside the door." Who knew that Jiang Zuli and He Qing, who came out of the hot spring after opening the door, unexpectedly saw the two kissing on the sofa. Little He Qing's face was red, and she covered her face and couldn't see Wenwen. Lin Hangren, Jiang Zuli was also jealous and stunned. Her face was red, her eyes were closed, and she clenched her fists and shouted, "Han Wenwen! What are you doing? You are sneaking in front of me, right? No more kissing." Han Wenwen, who was kissing, opened one eye and glanced at the two with her peripheral vision, thinking that Xiao Qing and Lily came so quickly. Sure enough, after the relationship with Brothers Hangren was exposed, the success rate of sneaking around like this was very low. But she didn't want to end it. So she closed her eyes again and continued to kiss Lin Hangren. Jiang Zuli shouted, "Ah! Keep going." She hurried to pull Han Wenwen away, and little He Qing ran over with her. A few minutes later, Han Wenwen sat on the sofa with a foxy face red, stroking her hair with her hands. Jiang Zuli stood in front of her and pinched her waist. "Han Wenwen, you sneaked out, didn't you?" Han Wenwen explained, "I just came to ask Brothers Hangren something." "Jiang Zuli, you kissed while asking questions. And you didn't end it when we came. It was involuntary. Besides, Lily, you should know that kissing Brothers Hangren can't just end it like that." Jiang Zuli said angrily, "You are a fox who makes excuses. You actually sneaked here to do such a thing." If He Qing and I hadn't reacted, when she said this, she looked at He Qing, but when she turned around, she found that He Qing was kissing Lin Hangren as well. Her twin ponytails were all blown up. He Qing, what are you doing? Little He Qing was startled and quickly separated from Lin Sehengren. Little He Qing waved her red face and hands in panic. We were kissing. Wenwen kissed, so I wanted to kiss too. I kissed Lin Sehengren because he said it was okay. Zhang Zuli was embarrassed and didn't understand. No, why are you like this too? And Sehengren, what are you thinking? Anyway, we are all girlfriends. Since we are all girlfriends, it is normal to kiss Lin Sehengren. I can't help it, Little He Qing answered softly. Although Han Wenwen was surprised, she also agreed. I said I couldn't help it, you two really are. Lin Sehengren looked at the nervous Lily and stretched out his hand. Lily, come here. Zhang Zuli was stunned and took 2 steps back. What are you doing? It can be said that Lin Sehengren can be serious in any scene. It is a skill. They both kissed, so why don't you kiss, now? But, she thought to herself that He Qing and Han Wenwen were here, how could she kiss? But thinking so in her heart, her feet were out of control. She walked over slowly and said shyly, there are so many people here, we will always live together in the future. Does it mean that when I kiss one of you, we have to hide our backs from each other? I want to be with you openly, so just get used to it. Come and sit on my lap. She thought that was the case, so she sat on Lin Sehengren's lap obediently. The moment Lin Sehengren hugged Zhang Zuli's waist, Lily's heart tightened, her face turned red, and she couldn't help but close her eyes and kiss Lin Sehengren. Han Wenwen and He Qing were so jealous that they looked away. After the 3 little ones kissed once, they had nothing to say. It is true that it is easy to be unable to control yourself when you are with Lin Sehengren. They sat side by side on the sofa. Lin Sehengren stood up and said, I want to tell you something. I just told Wenwen about it. Since I have already told you, I will tell you all. I had a girlfriend again last week. Zhang Zuli and He Qing opened their mouths in surprise. The little fox was jealous. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.